Chapter 101, Everyone Has Weaknesses. The rain continued to fall from the skies. But the surging Wei River had become quiet. The dragon's tomb sat coldly in the center of the Wei River. 36 stone statues in the shape of swords surrounded and suppressed it. Demon King Jiao let out an indignant roar from the inside, but he couldn't do anything at all because his body had been penetrated by the 36 swords. The swords didn't kill him, but they nailed him firmly to the riverbed. He couldn't move at all. Everyone was stunned by the outcome of the battle. The Demon King Jiao, who caused trouble by commanding the rain and the clouds for thousands of miles, resulting in a heavy downpour. The Demon King Jiao, who made millions of people kneel down to him in worship. That same Demon King Jiao was suppressed just like that? Who exactly was this person who suppressed him? In the imperial capital, the powerhouses of the aristocratic families, the rogue cultivators, the sect powerhouses, and the royal consecrators were all watching with their necks stretched high. Thousands of miles away, they could only see Lin Jiufeng's back. He was dressed entirely in green, his black hair was tied into a bun, and his sleeves moved with the wind. He looked truly otherworldly and powerful. Lin Jiufeng's face couldn't be seen at all. Some people became apprehensive. Just how powerful was this expert? Imperial capital, Forbidden City. Both Emperor Di and Princess Yulin found themselves speechless. The way they looked at the world had changed. Even Princess Yulin found it hard to believe what she just saw. And she was someone who had once slaughtered her way to the Wolf Story Mountain. Her feat back then had shocked the world speechless, but what she had done didn't seem comparable to the scene that she just witnessed today. When Demon King Jiao commanded the wind and the clouds, everyone could feel the terrifying might he possessed. They were certain that he held power beyond that of the human god realm. The people of the Great Xia Dragon Sparrow were only in the human god realm at most. Princess Yulin thought that her mysterious master was a powerhouse who had entered the Grotto Heaven realm. But from the looks of it, she couldn't be more wrong. Emperor De coughed and said, "Why didn't I know before that such a powerful big grand-uncle existed?" He really regretted it. If it was Lin Jiufeng who gave him pointers when he was cultivating back then, he would have been a human god realm expert by now. But he was still happy for Princess Yulin. After all, they were related by blood. Moreover, both of them were happy that the person who had suppressed Demon King Jiao was their big grand-uncle, an ancestor that belonged to the same lineage as them. Especially Princess Yulin. In the past, she was afraid of disturbing Lin Jiufeng. She was afraid she might accidentally elicit his fury. But now that she knew the truth, she felt that she had to go and see this big grand-uncle of hers. Then, she would tell him that she had never once slacked off in the 5 years that passed. Right now, she judged that her swordsmanship must be up to his standards at the very least. Ever since they reappeared in this era. The Zenith Heaven Path sect, whose foundation had taken root close to the imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty, had long regarded the dynasty as their own. They were already prepared to make a move. After so many years of preparation, they decided that it was about time. After all, some of their original powerhouses from the previous era had already awakened, with most of them having already recovered at least 10% of their full strength. Recovering at least 10% of their original strength so early into this brand new era was already something to celebrate about. The Zenith Heaven Path sect was about to enact their plan of controlling the Xuanhuang God Dynasty and turning it into a secular dynasty of the Zenith Heaven Path sect. As for why they didn't make a move after deliberating for so long, it was because they were afraid of the hidden expert within the imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. They were afraid of the hidden expert who gave Princess Yulin pointers and told her to slaughter her way to Wolf Story Mountain. The Zenith Heaven Path sect had not relaxed their search for that hidden expert in the years that passed, but they had no clue about his identity at all. Just as they were getting impatient, they received news that the 7 great sages of the monster race and demon race were attacking the imperial capital. With the news of their impending attack, the Zenith Heaven Path sect stopped their plans and decided to lie low. They planned to come back and continue their plans of controlling the Xuanhuang God Dynasty after the dust had settled. The Zenith Heaven Path sect knew just how powerful the 7 great sages were. They didn't want to provoke them unless it was absolutely necessary. Thus, they decided to lie low and wait for the 7 great sages' victory to negotiate with them for a piece of land within the dynasty. But sect leader Luo Yu had never imagined even in his wildest dreams that the demon King Zhao who shook the world the moment he appeared. The demon King Zhao whom they could never afford to offend would actually be defeated and suppressed so easily. It felt as if he didn't even resist his enemy. As for the heaven-raising bull, he watched silently from the side, not even daring to fart. Sect Master Luo Yu looked at Lin Jiufeng's green-robed back and gasped. He softly muttered, "This is getting more complicated now." Every high-ranking member of the Zenith Heaven Path sect had gathered in the hall. Each and every one of them was rendered speechless by the scene that they saw above the Wei River. Lin Jiufeng's might thoroughly scared them. This is just the beginning of a brand new era. Logically speaking, such a terrifying powerhouse shouldn't appear so early, right? I originally thought that it was already shocking enough to see the recovered demon King Zhao. He's already at the peak of the Grotto Heaven realm. His recovery speed had surprised me when I learned about it, but knowing that he is one of the 7 great sages, I could still accept it. But what's up with him? A powerhouse from the Zenith Heaven Path sect pointed at Lin Jiufeng's back in surprise. The existence of a peak Grotto Heaven realm expert so early in this brand new era was already unbelievable. So, how could someone be more powerful than the current demon King Zhao? The high-ranking members of the Zenith Heaven Path sect were unable to give an answer. Let's keep a low profile for now. He's too terrifying. It will be easy for him to suppress us if he wants to. Let's not touch the Xuanhuang God Dynasty for now. Sect Master Luo Yu eventually made a decision. In the end, he decided to first take a closer look at the situation before deciding whether they should reveal their hidden agendas to the Xuanhuang God Dynasty and to the world. The entire world was crazily spreading the news about Lin Jiufeng. After the battle at the Wei River, he instantly became famous. The title of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty's guardian god was once again remembered by the people. But Lin Jiufeng couldn't hear their conversation at this moment. He stood on the riverbanks of the Wei River. The pitter-patter of rainwater fell in front of his eyes. They splashed onto the ground, eventually forming into puddles. Rainwater fell into the Wei River. Waves appeared on the already quiet waters. Lin Jiufeng looked at the heaven-raising bull and said, "My seal won't expire on its own, but I won't stop him from absorbing the spiritual energy in the air. As long as he breaks my seal, he can come out." The heaven-raising bull walked to Lin Jiufeng's side. His body became smaller as he looked at the dragon's tomb alongside Lin Jiufeng. Lin Jiufeng still gave Demon King Zhao some face. He didn't seal him in a flood dragon's tomb but instead used a dragon's tomb. I will advise him well and also stand guard for him. This suppression can also be considered to be suppressing his arrogance. Everything about him is good, just that there is a big problem with his character. The heaven-raising bull sighed. "How did all of you become brothers then?" Lin Jiufeng asked curiously. "It's simply because we're lonely. Having each other around as we travel the world is a form of reassurance that we are not alone. Even now, I'm still used to having them around." The great sage of heaven leveling said, his mood immediately turned somber. "Each of us has our own weaknesses. As a result, we are different from each other. Demon King Zhao's weakness is that he is easily enraged. And I am a glutton. The others are arrogance, jealousy, laziness, greed, and lust. We tolerated each other and turned our weaknesses into strengths. We became a perfect group. At least, that was what happened to us in the beginning. It's just that after we became stronger, our weaknesses also became stronger along with our cultivation realms. Soon, we became no longer compatible with each other. That is why the 7 great sages fell apart. In fact, it's been so long since I've seen and met with the others. But today, I'm finally reunited with Demon King Zhao." The great sage of heaven leveling, heaven-raising bull, said. Lin Jiufeng maintained his silence as he listened. Chapter 102, The History of the Land of Extreme Negative Energy. The 7 great sages of the monster race and demon race all had their own shortcomings. And they were able to supplement the weaknesses of each other with their strengths. This was why they were able to form a group in the previous era. But every group or team would eventually fall apart. When the previous era came to an end, the 7 great sages of the monster race and demon race also came to an end. After each of them left in a fit of anger, the great sage of the heaven leveling, the heaven raising bull, went to participate in the construction of the demon's den beneath the imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty's cold palace. The great sage of the ocean cover, Demon King Jiao, went overseas and set up a large array formation on a small island to completely seal himself. The others had their own places to go. In any case, they weren't together anymore. This was also why in this era, the locations where the 7 great sages appeared have been all different and distant from each other. Since you guys have already gone your own separate ways, why are you still pleading on his behalf? Lin Jiufeng asked, puzzled. Our relationships were nurtured over an entire era. We supported each other when we were weak and we've experienced a lot together along the way. He once risked his life to save me too. Even if he won't listen to me, I can't just watch as Demon King Jiao dies, said the Heaven Raising Bull. A relationship that was nurtured over an entire era. His few simple words contained countless years of companionship, laughter, and fooling around together. Demon King Pingtian was a sentimental person, which was why he begged Lin Jiufeng to spare Demon King Jiao's life. I spared Demon King Jiao. You owe me a favor for that, Lin Jiufeng said. Demon King Pingtian nodded and replied, you're right. I owe you a favor. If you have any needs in the future, just tell me. As long as it's something that I can do, I will definitely do it. If it's something that I can't do, I will do my best to ask the other brothers for help. His words were sincere. Demon King Pingtian also knew that the reason why Demon King Jiao was still alive was because of Lin Jiufeng giving him face. But to be honest, his face wasn't worth much. When he spoke, he wasn't confident at all. After all, his relationship with Lin Jiufeng was that of a boxer and a punching bag. Lin Jiufeng had been suppressing the demon's den for 10 whole years, and only today did he talk so much with Lin Jiufeng. In the past, not a word between them was exchanged. It wasn't until Lin Jiufeng beat and severely injured him that Demon King Pingtian's relationship with Lin Jiufeng became closer. The type of special relationship between the attacker and the person being attacked. Hence, when Lin Jiufeng agreed, Demon King Pingtian truly was surprised. Then, he felt very grateful. At the very least, Lin Jiufeng spared Demon King Jiao's life for his sake. Thus, he made a solemn promise. If Lin Jiufeng needed his help in the future, Lin Jiufeng just had to ask. If he couldn't do it, then he would go look for his brothers for help. Why wait for the future when you can help me out now? Lin Jiufeng interrupted Demon King Pingtian's thoughts and said directly. Demon King Pingtian was stunned. He looked at Lin Jiufeng and blinked his huge eyes. Then, he said solemnly, please give me your order. I will definitely do what I can. Lin Jiufeng looked at his serious look and said with a smile, there's no need to be so serious. What I want you to do is not so troublesome. I just want to ask you a few questions. Demon King Pingtian was dumbfounded. He was already prepared to go all out to complete Lin Jiufeng's request. For example, clearing out the troubles in the world for the Xuanhuang God Dynasty? Working for the Xuanhuang God Dynasty for decades? Although it was hard for him to accept this kind of request, a gentleman would never go back on his word. As long as Lin Jiufeng said it, he would definitely do his best to complete it. But who would have thought that Lin Jiufeng only wanted him to answer a few questions? Demon King Pingtian asked, what do you want to ask? Are you one of the original builders of the demon's den? Lin Jiufeng asked. Yes, I participated in the construction of that demon's den. Demon King Pingtian nodded. Why was that place chosen for the demon's den? Lin Jiufeng continued to ask. Because that place is a land of extreme negative energy. It can gather the spiritual energy of the world and it won't let it dissipate so easily. It can also maintain the spiritual energy in the air for a very long time, Demon King Pingtian replied. Was that area already like that when it was discovered in the previous era? Lin Jiufeng asked with a rather pensive look. Yes. Demon King Pingtian replied almost immediately. Lin Jiufeng frowned. Not long after entering the cold palace, Lin Jiufeng had already discovered the land of extreme negative energy. In the beginning, the land of extreme negative energy was still very weak. It only nurtured the spirit of imperial consort Jia and turned her into a malicious spirit. But that malicious spirit had no offensive power at all. At that time, Lin Jiufeng was puzzled as to why the might of the land of extreme negative energy was so weak. As time passed, he discovered the ruins of the Chasing Corpse sect and was finally able to somehow resolve a few of his questions in regards to the land of extreme negative energy. But at the same time, the Chasing Corpse sect discovered that it was a land of extreme negative energy. That was exactly the reason why they built their former sect on the land where the current cold palace stood. But they weren't the people who created the land of extreme negative energy. Then, Lin Jiufeng discovered the Demon Lord's palace. He thought that the land of extreme negative energy was made by the Demon Lord. But who knew that the Demon Lord had only used the land of extreme negative energy to suppress the demon's den? Then he discovered the 3,000 plus demons in the Devil's Den. He thought that the land of extreme negative energy was created by them. But hearing the words of Demon King Ping Tian, it seemed that the land of extreme negative energy existed here before they came. Thousands of years had passed since then, but the land of extreme negative energy was still around and thriving. With the recovery of the world's spiritual energy, the land of extreme negative energy was also recovering along with it. Lin Jiufeng wanted to know who created the land of extreme negative energy beneath the cold palace. But after going through it layer by layer, it turned out that the people he suspected were not the masters of the land of extreme negative energy. Even the demon's den that Lin Jiufeng thought highly of had been a latecomer to the party. Moreover, during the previous era, the land of extreme negative energy already existed before they found it. How did you guys discover the land of extreme negative energy back then? Lin Jiufeng asked curiously. The events of the previous era touched upon Lin Jiufeng's blind spot in knowledge. He could only ask Demon King Ping Tian about it. In the previous era, a lot of us knew about that place. It wasn't just us. In fact, a shocking battle once took place in that land of extreme negative energy. Demon King Ping Tian recalled. A man and a bull stood by the Wei River beneath the misty rain. Under the nervous gaze of everyone in the world, they actually began to chat. Lin Jiufeng wanted to deeply investigate the mystery behind the birth of the land of extreme negative energy. They completely disregarded the people around them as they chatted about the things that they were interested in. A shocking battle happened? Lin Jiufeng asked curiously. That's right. There were too many people who wanted the land of extreme negative energy back then, including those from the Taoist sects, Buddhist sects, and the sects overseas. All of them wanted the land of extreme negative energy. The battle was very intense, and countless people died. The land of extreme negative energy was baptized in a river of blood back then. Demon King Ping Tian lamented as he recalled the past. You said that you would release every demon from the demon's den when the time comes. Once you've done that, you will discover that there are many corpses buried in the land of extreme negative energy. Each of them was once peerless and magnificent figures of the past, Demon King Ping Tian said to Lin Jiufeng. Their corpses are still intact after thousands of years? Lin Jiufeng raised his brows. In that war, many major forces were implicated. They were all top sects, and they were also the symbol of that era's glory. Every single one of them was stronger than you are now. It's not out of the ordinary that their bodies are still intact despite them being dead for thousands of years by now. Moreover, they are also buried in the land of extreme negative energy, including the sect leader of Kunlun, the king of the monster race, and the unaffiliated cultivators overseas. When you have the opportunity, you should go and dig them up, Demon King Ping Tian said. Lin Jiufeng said in disdain, would I dig up corpses? I don't have such a strange hobby. Lin Jiufeng firmly stated. Chapter 103, Matter Solved. Lin Jiufeng wanted to know more about the origins of the land of extreme negative energy. But the more he knew about it, the more confused he became. He asked Demon King Ping Tian. Say, why did so many powerhouses end up dying in the land of extreme negative energy after that battle? Demon King Pingtian thought for a while and replied, I don't know. Lin Jiufeng looked at him placidly. I really don't know. If I knew, I would be able to solve the doubts in the hearts of every major sect and top factions. Demon King Pingtian cried out. He really didn't know. He wasn't playing with Lin Jiufeng. No one knows why they started fighting back then. It was a secret. Even the major sects didn't have the exact answers to it. In the early years, they had never given up searching for the true answer. No matter what the reason was, something must have urged them to fight. And in the middle of that fight, something must have gone wrong. Otherwise, how could so many powerhouses engage in a life and death struggle in one place? In the end, some died, some were rendered senile due to their injuries, while the rest directly fell into a deep sleep. Demon King Pingtian explained. Lin Jiufeng nodded and said, other than that, do you have anything else to add? Demon King Pingtian thought for a while and replied, no, this is all I know about the land of extreme negative energy. So many powerhouses died in the land of extreme negative energy. How did you guys from that demon's den end up occupying the land of extreme negative energy then? Lin Jiufeng asked curiously. Because we've outnumbered them, Demon King Pingtian replied in a matter-of-factly manner. There were more than 3,000 of them, and they were all demons and monsters. In addition, each one of them was very powerful. At their peak, they had half the strength of the entire members of the demonic path. With so many people, how could they not occupy the land of extreme negative energy? Lin Jiufeng was rendered speechless. He took a step forward, and a lotus flower appeared beneath his feet. It carried his body as he disappeared into the void. Demon King Pingtian didn't know about the land of extreme negative energy, so Lin Jiufeng had no reason to stay here anymore. Let's call it even. With that, Lin Jiufeng left. Under the gazes of everyone in the world, he disappeared just like that. Many people hurriedly looked around, but they couldn't find Lin Jiufeng. Perhaps only Emperor Day and Princess Yulin knew that Lin Jiufeng had already returned to the Cold Palace. Seeing this scene, sect leader Luo Yu of the Zenith Heaven Path sect gritted his teeth and said, everyone, bear with it for now. When we've dug out the powerhouses of our Zenith Heaven Path, it will be our time to sweep through the world. The current Lin Jiufeng was too powerful. He had to be careful and wait for the Zenith Heaven Path sect to recover its peak strength. Then, the opportune moment to strike would naturally arrive as well. Lin Jiufeng managed to suppress Demon King Jiao, who was at the pinnacle of the Grotto Heaven realm, with a wave of his hand. If it were them, they would probably die from just one slap by Lin Jiufeng. The Zenith Heaven Path sect decided to continue to endure while hiding their malicious intentions. It wasn't a problem for them to do this, after all, they had already been enduring for so many years. They were patient and could afford to wait. On the river banks of the Wei River, Demon King Pingtian looked at the dragon's tomb. He then transformed into his human form and was dressed in linen clothes. He looked rather refined as he walked to the edge of the dragon's tomb. Are you okay, brother? Demon King Pingtian leaned against the dragon's tomb and asked loudly. I'm listening. I'm not dead, but I'm not much different from being dead now, Demon King Jiao replied angrily. He was suppressed in the dragon's tomb, but his mouth could still speak. He could also absorb spiritual energy and improve his strength. Lin Jiufeng didn't make things difficult for him. His face was just beaten swollen, and then he was sealed in this place, that was it. The 36 swords suppressed his entire body. There was even a sword on his neck. Fortunately, he was a flood dragon and was very huge, so the wounds on his body weren't very large in comparison. But the 36 swords were distributed widely and they rendered him unable to move. It's good that you're okay. I told you not to provoke that person earlier, but you just didn't believe me. See the result now? You've truly provoked a catastrophe, Demon King Pingtian said with a smile. Demon King Jiao was speechless. Just what is his background? Demon King Jiao suppressed his emotions and asked once more. Demon King Jiao had thought that he was already strong enough to be at the peak of this brand new era. He believed that with his powerful strength, he could sweep through the world and elicit the golden era of the monster race. But who would have thought that he had already failed before he even started? In his first battle in this brand new era, he encountered Lin Jiufeng. Then, he was defeated and suppressed in a single move. Demon King Jiao couldn't accept this. He still hadn't come to his senses. Demon King Pingtian said, "He is a monster of this era. He's not an old monster from the last era?" Demon King Jiao asked in disbelief. No, Demon King Pingtian shook his head. He was very certain of this. How is that possible? Demon King Jiao's worldview was shattered. The spiritual energy in this era had just started its recovery, and the most powerful beings from this era were only at the peak of the human god realm. There wasn't a single native who had made a breakthrough into the Grotto Heaven realm yet. But then he heard that Lin Jiufeng, a powerhouse who had surpassed the Grotto Heaven realm, was actually from this era? Demon King Jiao was simply unable to accept it. When did you wake up? Demon King Pingtian asked. A few months ago, I found a spiritual energy vein at the bottom of the sea and I swallowed it. That's how I managed to recover so much of my previous strength, said Demon King Jiao. As for me, actually, I woke up 10 years ago, Demon King Pingtian said bitterly. Then, your cultivation base, Demon King Jiao exclaimed in surprise. I wasn't the only one who woke up 10 years ago. The entire demon's den woke up 10 years ago. Then, he single-handedly suppressed us for 10 years and defeated every demon in our demon's den. Demon King Pingtian explained. Demon King Jiao was shocked speechless. In the past 10 years, we personally witnessed him progressing from the Grotto Heaven realm and then exceeding it. And this time, he released me on his own accord. He asked me to persuade you not to be rash, saying that he didn't want to make a move. But I couldn't persuade you. Demon King Pingtian let out a long sigh. Demon King Jiao didn't say anything. After a long while, Demon King Jiao talked once more. My character needs to be changed. If it weren't for your pleading this time, I would have been dead for sure. We've been brothers for thousands of years. How could I watch you die? Demon King Pingtian said. Demon King Jiao was moved. He shouted, Old bull, I've really become arrogant. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. I will accompany and stand guard for you in the Wei River. When you've accumulated enough strength, you will be able to break the seal. Anyway, he didn't stop you from absorbing the spiritual energy of the world. Sadly, this world isn't like the previous world where we could roam freely anymore. Demon King Pingtian transformed into his true form. His huge body swayed his tail and sank into the Wei River. He also began to absorb the huge amounts of spiritual energy in the world. I think you should go and advise Demon King Dupeng. He also said that he wants to go to the imperial capital. I hope he won't encounter that human powerhouse. Demon King Jiao reminded. Don't worry. Demon King Dupeng is smarter and more open to advice than you. Moreover, with your previous example, he will come here instead of going to the imperial capital of the Unrivalled God Dynasty. Among the 7 of us, you are the one with the worst temper after all. The voice of the Demon King Pingtian resounded from the bottom of the river. Demon King Jiao instantly became ashamed. He was rendered speechless and could only sigh in the end. After solving this matter, Lin Jiufeng returned to the cold palace and continued his quiet life. He closed the doors of the cold palace tightly, refusing to receive anyone, including Emperor De and Princess Yulin. It was because Lin Jiufeng was in the middle of stabilizing himself in the realm that he had just arrived into. Chapter 104, Chatting Under the Moon. A huge problem in the eyes of the world was calmly resolved by Lin Jiufeng. No one expected this sort of outcome. The Demon King Jiao that everyone regarded as invincible was now being suppressed in the Wei River. A huge dragon's tomb stood there and anyone could go to take a look. As Lin Jiufeng hadn't made any move for several years, even though Princess Yulin had cut Wolf Story Mountain into halves 5 years ago, the deterrent power of the Unrivalled God Dynasty has been in decline since then. There were just far too many potential threats to the dynasty. As more and more people and factions from the previous era awakened, the threat was unavoidable. Conflicts would breed conflicts. When they accumulated to a certain extent, disaster would then brew. If it completely erupted, it would destroy the entire Yuhua God dynasty. If that happened, then Lin Jiufeng would definitely have to spare more effort in saving the Yuhua God dynasty than the previous efforts that he had done for the dynasty so far. The appearance of Demon King Zhao represented the first conflict. It was akin to that of a small flame atop a candle's wick. If no one stopped Demon King Zhao from completing his goal of soliciting land from the Yuhua God dynasty, this small flame could burn the entire Yuhua God dynasty to ashes. Unfortunately, the Yuhua God dynasty was simply too weak to handle Demon King Zhao. In the end, it was Lin Jiufeng who made a move. Originally, Lin Jiufeng wanted to get Demon King Pingtian to persuade Demon King Zhao to stop or delay his plan. This would give Lin Jiufeng some time to wait for the spring rain. But who would have thought that Demon King Zhao's ability to command the wind and the clouds directly allowed Lin Jiufeng to accumulate enough strength for a breakthrough? In the end, Lin Jiufeng walked under the rain and defeated Demon King Zhao with one strike. Following that, the 36 swords effortlessly suppressed Demon King Zhao. After finishing his business, Lin Jiufeng brushed his clothes and left. He hid his true identity and left behind his unclaimed reputation and achievement. After Lin Jiufeng extinguished the flames that could have started a wildfire, the world immediately fell silent. The conflicts disappeared quietly after the world witnessed Lin Jiufeng's might against Demon King Zhao. The world was quiet once more. Even Demon King Dapeng, who wanted to go to the imperial capital, was deterred. He flew to the Wei River and sought his old brothers. Seeing the miserable Demon King Zhao, Demon King Dapeng secretly rejoiced. It was fortunate that the location he was sealed at was quite a distance away from the imperial capital. If not, and he arrived a step too early, he would have been the one being suppressed, or maybe he could have been dead by now. The imperial capital remained bustling as usual. After Lin Jiufeng suppressed Demon King Zhao with his sword, the capital became livelier. Lanterns and decorations were set up, gongs and drums were sounded, and every commoner wore proud smiles on their faces. They were filled with pride. Every citizen of the Yuhua God dynasty had this sense of pride. The guardian of the Yuhua God dynasty was actually so powerful and terrifying. Ordinary people like them could live in peace under the protection of such a powerful person. They would rather be a dog living in peaceful times than a human living in troubled times. The common people have had a deep understanding of this saying since ancient times. When the world was in chaos, they were bound to be the first ones to suffer. Lin Jiufeng had saved the Yuhua God dynasty, and it was also equivalent to saving them. It was only natural that the common people would cheer and celebrate because of this. Even the sisters in the brothels worked a little harder when serving others. One could see the joy of the common people wherever one laid their eyes. However, amidst these festivities, the cold palace was deserted as usual. The livelier the outside world was, the more deserted the cold palace was. After Lin Jiufeng's return, he changed his clothes and loosened his coiled hair. His long and soft hair that resembled a woman's hair spread like a waterfall behind him. Standing beneath the moonlight, behind him was a cherry tree that was slowly blooming. After the rain, Lin Jiufeng consolidated his cultivation base in the cold palace. His aura affected the cherry trees. The cherry blossoms that were supposed to bloom in the future seemed to be congratulating Lin Jiufeng as they slowly bloomed in his presence. With their growth, their alluring fragrance also intensified. Why did you reject Emperor Di and Princess Yulin's visitation? The white cat laid on Lin Jiufeng's shoulder and meowed. The troubles of the Yuhua God dynasty have already been resolved. One of them should be a good emperor, and the other should cultivate diligently. That would be their greatest repayment to me. So, why do they have to visit me? Lin Jiufeng asked. The moment he returned, Emperor Di and Princess Yulin came to his door and asked to see him outside the cold palace. But Lin Jiufeng completely ignored him. He didn't even open the door. His attitude towards their visit was steadfast. Your attitude towards the emperor of the Yuhua God dynasty is getting worse with each generation, the white cat muttered. Lin Jiufeng thought about it and agreed. The first generation emperor, Emperor Yuan, was his biological younger brother. Their relationship as brothers was very good. Once something happened to Emperor Yuan, Lin Jiufeng would take the initiative to help him. Regardless if those matters were big or small, Lin Jiufeng would do his best to help. Sometimes, they would even talk and drink together. When it came to Emperor Ming, he would always come to Lin Jiufeng's door and ask him to solve the problems that he had encountered. Lin Jiufeng would handle the big issues, but he wouldn't bother with the small ones. When it came to Emperor De, Lin Jiufeng didn't care about him at all. It has been 10 years since he ascended to the throne, yet this was the first time that Lin Jiufeng gave him a hand. 5 years ago, he didn't want to place the fate of the dynasty on a woman's marriage. Thus, Lin Jiufeng went to help Princess Yulin. Imparting a few sword techniques to Princess Yulin and helping her in her cultivation should have been enough already. I don't want those siblings to rely on me. The God Dynasty has been passed down for so many generations. It needs to rely on the meticulous governance of generations of emperors, not my power to deter their enemies. I can solve major troubles, but I'm not their babysitter. If they think of me whenever something happens, then I'd rather have the Yuhua God Dynasty be wiped out as soon as possible. Lin Jiufeng stated what was in his heart. For cases like this one regarding Demon King Jiao, which Emperor De really couldn't solve, then Lin Jiufeng didn't mind lending a hand. But the issues of the people's livelihoods, the daily dealings with the sects, and the methods to manage the world on a daily basis, all of these had to be handled by Emperor De himself. Lin Jiufeng couldn't help him. Lin Jiufeng refused to see them because he didn't want to become Emperor De's pillar of support. He didn't want to make Emperor De think that with Lin Jiufeng's support, he would be able to sit as stable as a mountain on the throne. I don't understand what you are thinking, but I support you, the White Cat said. Lin Jiufeng looked at the clear moonlight. His eyes were bright as he said, "Next, I will speed up the recovery rate of the world's spiritual energy so that the people of the world can make their breakthroughs faster. This is also a challenge for the Yuhua God Dynasty. If Emperor Di and the others cannot control the situation, then the decline of the Yuhua God Dynasty will officially begin by then." You want to let those demons go? The White Cat thought of this. Yes, there are still a few days before I can let them go. Lin Jiufeng nodded. Won't these demons bring disaster to the world if they left? The White Cat asked in surprise. If they cannot defeat me, yet they dared to bring a disaster into the world. I can kill them even if they are thousands of miles away. I can kill them with a stroke from my sword, Lin Jiufeng replied rather seriously. Meow. Then, with the increased recovery rate of the world's spiritual energy, can I also make a breakthrough into the Grotto Heaven realm? The White Cat's eyes lit up. Yes, you can do it too. Lin Jiufeng smiled slightly. Most of the pills and treasures that he had received from signing in for the past 10 years were eaten by the White Cat for her to absorb. She had made significant progress in the human god realm in the years that passed. She wasn't actually that far from a breakthrough. If the recovery rate of the world's spiritual energy was increased, the White Cat would definitely be able to make a breakthrough into the Grotto Heaven realm. At the very least, under Lin Jiufeng's guidance and protection, making a breakthrough would be a very comfortable experience for her. It was close to midnight. After midnight, Lin Jiufeng went down to the demon's den. He wanted to start signing in. This would be one of his final sign-ins in this demon's den. Chapter 105, Conversation in Zenith Heaven Path. Boom! With a flick of his finger, Lin Jiufeng defeated a demon. Then, he closed the seal. Sign in. Sign in successful. Received a Grotto Heaven Great Pill. It was this pill again. Lin Jiufeng looked at the pill in his palm for a moment before putting it away. When the White Cat made a breakthrough into the Grotto Heaven realm, he could then give her these pills for her to consume. The Grotto Heaven Great Pill was no longer useful to Lin Jiufeng. After signing in, Lin Jiufeng left the underground palace. There are only a few days until the final sign-in, Lin Jiufeng murmured. Of the 3,000 plus demons, there were only a few of them left. After the sign-in at this location ended, this demon's den would completely become useless to Lin Jiufeng. At that time, Lin Jiufeng would release the demons inside into the world. There was no reason for him to keep suppressing these demons inside. After all, they had provided him with more than 3,000 treasures. Since they had no value to him anymore, he might as well release them. Days passed. Lin Jiufeng would go and sign in once a day. The rest of his time was spent in the cold palace as he continued to stabilize his cultivation base. He paid no attention to the outside world at all. His attention was always focused on how he could improve his cultivation base, staying true to his heart and without being swayed by the exciting world outside. Outside the imperial capital, the Zenith Heaven Path sect had become even more low-key in recent days. They were located deep in the mountains, quite a distance away from the imperial capital. Standing on the highest mountain peak, they could see the vast, prosperous, and imposing imperial capital. The imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty was the largest city in the world today. If this city became ours, how good would that be? Sect leader Luo Yu stood on a tall mountain and looked down at the imperial capital as he mumbled. Sect leader, have you found the location of our war machine yet? A young man behind him asked. The location of our war machine is actually very easy to find. Do you know why I've settled down close to the imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty? Sect Master Luo Yu asked. The young man shook his head. After the war in the land of extreme negative energy ended back then, every major sect and factions in the world wanted to go in to investigate and occupy that place. Our Zenith Heaven Path sect was no exception. After all, the land of extreme negative energy is the best place to seal yourself. Therefore, the previous sect leader brought the war machine there, sect leader Luo Yu said. I didn't know about these things. The young man had never heard of this before. Thus, he listened attentively. You were just born at that time, it's normal that you don't know about these, Sect Master Luo Yu replied with a smile. The old sect leader brought the war machine with him because he wanted to rely on its powerful strength to occupy the land of extreme negative energy. Then, he wanted to turn the land of extremely negative energy into our territory and let the Zenith Heaven Path sect sleep in that land, so we could tide over till the end of the era. Sect leader Luo Yu explained. As for the other exploration matters concerning the land of extreme negative energy, they weren't as important as this. Then? The young man asked. Then? Of course, he failed. Sect leader Luo Yu's expression turned ugly. The old sect leader was beaten to death, the war machine was lost, and it disappeared without a trace. The Zenith Heaven Path sect also almost collapsed. Luckily, we disassembled the sect and made arrangements with the various seniors through our hidden channels. After that, I brought the younger members such as yourself and fought for a place to seal ourselves for thousands of years. Sect leader Luo Yu let out a sigh. If the Zenith Heaven Path sect managed to take over the land of extreme negative energy, the entire sect would have sealed themselves in the land of extreme negative energy and slept for thousands of years. Unfortunately, they failed. The old sect leader died in battle. Back then, sect leader Luo Yu succeeded in the position of sect leader and became the new sect leader. The first problem he faced was finding suitable locations to seal the Zenith Heaven Path sect's powerhouses. The better mountains and rivers were chosen one after another and the sect seniors sealed themselves in succession. The Zenith Heaven Path sect then disappeared without a trace. It was only now that they slowly recovered under sect leader Luo Yu's leadership. But the powerhouses that had sealed themselves in different regions have yet to return. The young man behind him was one of the people that sect leader Luo Yu had personally nurtured. The young man was sealed before he could fully mature, and now that he was unsealed, his true age was only about 20 years old. Despite his age, he was already at the peak of the human god realm. This was also the reason why Sect Master Luo Yu thought highly of him. Geniuses were of foremost importance. Sect leader, why didn't you take revenge? The young man frowned and asked. Do you know who occupied the land of extreme negative energy? Sect leader Luo Yu asked wryly. The young man shook his head. Nearly half of the powerhouses of the demonic path united together. Monsters, demons, demon kings, demon gods, and so on were amongst them. Sect leader Luo Yu said bitterly, the powerhouses of the Zenith Heaven Path sect added together aren't even enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. The young man choked, unable to speak. Thousands of demons, demon kings, and demon gods. With the joint forces of these demons and monsters, not only did we suffer a loss in the land of extreme negative energy, but the other factions also suffered losses and were no longer able to compete for it. Therefore, the land of extreme negative energy naturally became theirs. Sect Master Luo Yu explained. Then, the war machine, the young man asked. Yes, the war machine is lost in the land of extreme negative energy. Sect leader Luo Yu nodded. Where is the land of extreme negative energy? The young man asked. If I know where the land of extreme negative energy is, I can go and dig out the war machine on my own. Sect leader Luo Yu pointed and said, It's in that imperial capital. In a surprise, the young man exclaimed, A capital city built above the land of extreme negative energy? Wasn't that akin to seeking death? Sect leader Luo Yu said, If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't have noticed it, right? The young man nodded. That's true. There's no evil aura at all. In the first 5 years, I didn't discover anything either, let alone you. I only discovered some clues after comparing the maps from thousands of years ago and the maps of today's time, Sect leader Luo Yu said bluntly. Why? The young man asked, puzzled. Because more than 3,000 powerful demons built a demons in the land of extreme negative energy. They buried themselves in it and hid the original appearance of the land of extreme negative energy. The evil energy was then suppressed. Even the founding emperor of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty didn't even notice it. This was why he managed to choose to build the imperial capital above it. Sect Master Luo Yu replied. If that's the case, then we just need to search carefully in the imperial capital. We can just find a suspicious place, and then secretly dig it out. Won't that do? The young man asked. What you said isn't wrong, but there's a terrifying existence in the imperial capital right now. The elders and I can't go, we have to be careful. Thus, this matter will be your responsibility. Sect leader Luo Yu smiled at the young man. Deming, are you willing to accept this mission? I'm willing. The young man, Deming, agreed without hesitation. Remember, be careful. Don't cause any huge trouble. Also, don't let anyone find out who you are. With your realm as a human god, ordinary people won't be able to discover your true identity. Instead, the one you should fear is that terrifying fellow. Sect Master Luo Yu looked worried. Sect Master, don't worry. I will definitely be careful. I will carefully search every inch of the imperial capital. I won't let anyone find out who I am. Deming reassured him. Well, there's no need to search the Forbidden City. That terrifying existence is very likely to be living in the Forbidden City. Never provoke him at all cost. Sect leader Luo Yu instructed. I understand. Deming turned around and left for the imperial capital. Another day passed. On this day, Lin Jiufeng went down to the demon's den once more. After defeating a demon, he announced. In 5 days, I will release all of you into the world. Chapter 106, Signing in at the Demon's Den has ended. After Lin Jiufeng defeated a demon god today, he looked at the remaining 5 demons and said, I'll let you all out in 5 days. As soon as these words came out, the entire demon's den fell silent at first before it completely erupted. One by one, the demons jumped up in shock. Even the most aloof of demons lost their composure at this moment. They really wanted to yell and shout. 10 years. 10 whole years. Did Lin Jiufeng know how they've spent the past 10 years? One of them would be beaten up every day. They were all collectively humiliated every day by proxy. They watched as Lin Jiufeng became stronger every day. In comparison, they never got stronger at all. They also couldn't absorb any spiritual energy. Were they still the strongest demons in the world? They felt that their lives were worse than a beggar's. They thought that these kinds of days would continue forever without end. But when Demon King Ping Tian was released a few days ago, Lin Jiufeng also promised that he would release them soon. But how soon was soon? Everyone guessed as hard as they could. They made all sorts of theories, but none of them were accurate. But compared to the hopeless days before, they now had hope. This group of the most powerful demons of the previous era was already a little afraid of Lin Jiufeng. They only wanted to leave this demon's den as soon as possible. They wanted to get away from Lin Jiufeng as soon as possible. In their eyes, Lin Jiufeng was the true demon. Today, they received Lin Jiufeng's promise he would release them 5 days later. 5 days. The demons became excited. Some demons with ulterior motives also became restless. Inside the demon's den, each of them celebrated. But Lin Jiufeng didn't pay attention to their festivities. After he made his announcement, he closed the seal once again. Then, he left the underground palace. After releasing them, we must move this palace away and reveal the true appearance of the land of extreme negative energy, Lin Jiufeng muttered after coming out of the underground palace. Right now, the land of extreme negative energy that Lin Jiufeng saw was akin to that of an iceberg whose tip was only what could be seen. Lin Jiufeng had heard of the true land of extreme negative energy from Demon King Ping Tian. It was a place where the top powerhouses of the previous era fought to the death. There should be quite a number of corpses buried there. Lin Jiufeng wanted to see them for himself. In that case, he could only release the demons in the demon's den. Otherwise, Lin Jiufeng wouldn't be able to open the true land of extreme negative energy since the demons in the demon's den were still suppressing it. Therefore, even if Lin Jiufeng didn't want to accelerate the recovery of the world's spiritual energy, he would still have to let them go. There are still 5 days, there's no need to hurry. Lin Jiufeng muttered to himself as he continued his peaceful routine in the cold palace. Deming finally arrived in the imperial capital. He disguised himself as a scholar and a young master that aimed to travel around the imperial capital. He acted as if he came from a rural region of the God Dynasty. He wandered around and toured the place. He carefully examined every inch of the land that seemed suspicious in his eyes. But even after a day, he only managed to tour about 1/30th of the imperial capital. I should be done in about a month. Deming became full of energy. From this, one could see how vast the imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty was and how difficult it was to detect places with extreme negative energy. Deming wasn't alone. Some people came to the imperial capital on the same day as him. They were people from the demonic sects. Not one, but a group. The people of the demonic sects had been quite active in the past. Following the emergence of Demon King Jiao and Demon King Dapeng that shocked the entire world, these people had also become arrogant as they cheered for the 7 great sages. They thought that the Xuanhuang God Dynasty would finally be suppressed this time and they could finally restore the prestige of the demonic sects. But who would have thought that Lin Jiufeng's move would be so earth-shattering that he immediately shattered the ambitions of the demonic sects? The demonic sects of this era hated Lin Jiufeng to the bone. It was understandable since Lin Jiufeng had repeatedly destroyed their plans. The first time was decades ago, before Emperor Yuan had succeeded the throne. At that time, there were still very few martial sages in the world. The battle at the top of the Forbidden City should have been the catalyst for the rise of the demonic sects, but it was stopped by Lin Jiufeng. Then, next was during the conflict between the dynasty and the vassal lords supported by the demonic sects. The result was that the vassal lords were annihilated by Lin Jiufeng. Then, it was Demon King Jiao's turn. But he was instantly defeated by Lin Jiufeng. Thus, the latter had destroyed the demonic sects' plans once more. The demonic sects themselves were tired of the repeated destruction of their plans. We have to find the demons and wake them up. This is the only way that I can see for us to save our demonic sects from decline, a man with a hooked nose said firmly inside a house within the imperial capital. There were more than 10 people from different demonic sects around him. They all watched him talk with solemn looks on their faces. Although they came from different factions, they had a common goal. Find the demon's den that contained their seniors in the demonic path. Then, they would wake them up to save the demonic sects from ruin. Have you confirmed the exact location of that demon's den? A demonic man asked. Yes, it's in the land of extreme negative energy. We have been searching for the land of extreme negative energy in the past few years. But it's really unexpected that such an evil place would actually be directly beneath the imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. In other words, the demon's den is just below the imperial capital. As long as we awaken the demons inside, the entire imperial capital might instantly be wiped out and be completely destroyed, a demonic man muttered in excitement. We cannot be careless. The Xuanhuang God Dynasty's guardian is in this city. If he discovers us, then our plan will all be for naught. A senior warned them. We all know that. Today, I met an arrogant young master. I didn't even make a move and I have had to let him bully me. When we've awakened our demon seniors, I will go and slaughter his entire family, a man with a grim-looking face said ferociously. That's how it should be. Let's bear with it for the time being and not cause any trouble. When our demon seniors come out, we will take our revenge. The man with a hooked nose praised the others. Everyone, we should stay in the imperial capital and do our search as carefully as we can. We have to find the land of extreme negative energy as soon as possible. Finally, the man with the hooked nose encouraged everyone. Then, he got everyone to disperse and instructed them to contact each other if there was anything of importance. The entire imperial capital had a population of tens of millions. The dozen or so of them were just like adding drops of water in the sea. They were simply inconspicuous. On the first day, they started searching around the imperial capital. Sometimes, Deming would come across a demonic cultivator with a malicious look on his face. However, he realized that the other party only looked ferocious. The latter even nodded at him in a friendly manner. Deming nodded back as well. He couldn't help but sighed and said, I really can't judge a book by its cover in the future. The next day, everyone continued their search. The imperial capital was still operating as usual. On the third day, there was nothing unusual. On the fourth day, the people scouring the imperial capital became busy with their own matters while searching meticulously in the capital. And on the fifth day, those that participated in the search felt a sense of foreboding. But they couldn't put this feeling into words. They felt awful. They stopped their search for the demon's den. Instead, they began to search for the reason why their hearts felt terrible. The fifth day was also Lin Jiufeng's last day of signing in. He resisted the urge to sign in during the day and waited until the night before he went to the underground palace to open the seal. After opening it this time, Lin Jiufeng had no intention of sealing it again. The final demon of the 3,000+ demons was a woman. Lin Jiufeng hadn't defeated her just yet. Lin Jiufeng thought that everyone had intentionally placed her last, seeing that she looked weak and fragile. But in reality, she was the founder of this demon's den. She was also the one who invited Demon King Ping Tian to construct this demon's den. The demon's den started with her and it was also about to end with her. Chapter 107, Star Swords. The seal of the demon's den opened. Behind it stood a group of demons. The latter watched on anxiously. They looked at Lin Jiufeng and the delicate-looking woman whose stature was reminiscent of that of a blood-red flower. Her name was Queen Scarlet. She was the one who contacted some top demonic cultivators and built this demon's den. Then, she brought many demons under her wing and occupied the land of extreme negative energy. Now that the other demons in the demon's den had been defeated by Lin Jiufeng, it was her turn for the final day. She had a beautiful figure, a bright dress, red hair, and a pair of charming eyes. She was a peerless beauty. The allure of a woman was vividly reflected in her image. Every frown and smile she made carried extreme temptation. This woman was dangerous. Why did you defeat us all one by one before letting us out? Queen Scarlet asked. It is not in my original plan. Defeating you all is enough. There's no need to continue suppressing all of you here. Without you demons, the world will be less exciting, Lin Jiufeng replied. After he defeated all of them, his signing in here would be over. Then, why should he keep these demons here? In addition, they were the ones preventing him from further exploring the land of extreme negative energy. Aren't you afraid that we will go out and bring disaster to this world? After all, we were pretty popular in the previous era. Queen Scarlet stared at Lin Jiufeng with her eyes that looked like they could speak 1,000 words. But Lin Jiufeng's heart remained as calm as still water. His mind was focused solely on his cultivation. Hearing Queen Scarlet's question, he directly shook his head and said, "If you lot brought disaster to the world and wantonly slaughtered people, I will find you all. As long as you lot aren't confident in defeating me, then don't cause too much trouble and don't kill the common people, that's my only request." The demons looked at Lin Jiufeng. Then, they remembered these words in their hearts. They might not be able to defeat him for the time being, but that didn't mean that they wouldn't be able to defeat him forever. After they left, they would absorb the spiritual energy and recover their previous strength. They would definitely become stronger than Lin Jiufeng. Then, they would come back for revenge. Lin Jiufeng cultivated painstakingly on his own. In terms of cultivation speed, he was absolutely no match for them, who only needed to absorb the spiritual energy in the air to recover their original realms. Queen Scarlet thought so too. She still wanted to ask Lin Jiufeng something, but Lin Jiufeng didn't give her the chance. "You are the last. Once I've defeated you, I will let you all out," Lin Jiufeng directly said. Queen Scarlet stiffened and replied, "It's already the last day. Can't you just skip the beating?" If Lin Jiufeng injured her now, she would have to treat her injuries first before she could recover her strength after she came out. She had been stalling for time because she wanted to escape this vicious beating. Because of this, she had to put down her status and secretly sent flirtatious glances to Lin Jiufeng, who was thousands of years younger than her. She was just short of saying what was on her mind. But Lin Jiufeng still wanted to hit her? "Hurry up. Only after I defeat you will it be a complete process. Only then will I be able to let you all out. Otherwise, none of you will be able to leave," Lin Jiufeng said indifferently. Defeating Queen Scarlet would give him a chance to sign in. Would Lin Jiufeng's heart soften because she was sending him loving looks through her eyes? She was underestimating him too much. Queen Scarlet secretly gritted her teeth. A trace of helpless anger appeared on her beautiful and demonic face. Lin Jiufeng completely rejected her. Behind her, more than 3,000 demons eagerly watched on. They were just short of telling her to take the initiative and quickly let Lin Jiufeng defeat her so as not to waste everyone's time. Only after everyone was defeated would they be released. Now that only Queen Scarlet was left, how could she escape this treatment? Then, let me experience how powerful the peerless genius of this era is. Queen Scarlet gritted her teeth. Her delicate body flew up, and millions of flowers bloomed with a raise of her hand. The flowers flew towards Lin Jiufeng as she attacked with all of her might. She wanted to test just how powerful Lin Jiufeng was right now. However, Lin Jiufeng didn't even look at her. He merely flipped his palm and pressed down gently. Boom! Inside the demon's den, a terrifying pressure manifested and directly bore down. It suppressed Queen Scarlet's body in the blink of an eye. The millions of flowers directly withered and fell. They couldn't even completely bloom before they dissipated under this strike. Boom! 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 Queen Scarlet directly smashed onto the ground of the demon's den. Her defeat was just like the other demons. Lin Jiufeng had no intention of showing mercy to the fairer sex at all. He attacked the same way and with the same sense of ease. Pooh! Queen Scarlet spat out a mouthful of blood. Her eyes were filled with horror as she looked at Lin Jiufeng in disbelief. You actually broke through. Queen Scarlet tried her best to suppress her surging blood and vital energy. She felt extremely uncomfortable. She had just found out how strong Lin Jiufeng was right now. Then, she herself couldn't believe the answer. If it was true, then wasn't it too terrifying? How could there be a terrifying genius like Lin Jiufeng in this world? What did he break through into? A demon asked Queen Scarlet curiously. That's right, isn't he at the Grotto Heaven Realm? Could he already be at the 10th level of the Grotto Heaven Realm? I feel that he has already reached the 10th level, right? Yes, it should be about time. He should be at the peak of the Grotto Heaven Realm by now. The demons spoke one after another as they discussed. Queen Scarlet smiled bitterly and replied, he's already a supremacy. As soon as these words fell, the demon's den instantly fell silent. The demons felt as if they were struck by lightning. None of them could sit still anymore. Supremacy? Queen, don't talk nonsense. When he defeated us for the first time 10 years ago, it was still very difficult for him to deal with us. At that time, he had clearly just entered the Grotto Heaven realm. That's right. In the past 10 years, he has gone from the initial step of the Grotto Heaven realm to the peak of the Grotto Heaven realm. This is already a miracle. Even at the peak of the previous era, there weren't many people who could replicate this feat. Queen Scarlet, you said that he has made a breakthrough into the supremacy realm. You can't just scare us like this. If he really managed to cross the gap between just entering the Grotto Heaven realm and reaching the supremacy realm in just 10 years in this early stage of the spiritual energies recovery period, then it would really be heaven-defying. Not to mention anything else, he might even be able to become an immortal. The demons spoke one after another, announcing the shock in their hearts. The knowledgeable demons were shocked by Queen Scarlet's words. This proved just how exaggerated Lin Jiufeng's actions were. Queen Scarlet watched as everyone started their own discussions. She raised her hand, her snow-white and slender jade-like hand mimicking Lin Jiufeng's gentle push just now. He defeated me with a casual push, and what he used was the supremacy realms domain. His aura is very powerful. Although he did his best to hide it, my realm has long surpassed that of the supremacy realm. How can I sense it wrongly? He's a supremacy. He's the number one person in the world today. Queen Scarlet firmly declared. The demons in the demon's den looked at Lin Jiufeng, who was at the entrance. Their eyes were filled with shock, and they found it hard to say anything. Was he still human? But Lin Jiufeng didn't even look at the demon's den. He directly ignored the discussions down below. He focused on his own matters. Sign in. After defeating Queen Scarlet, Lin Jiufeng immediately signed in. This is the last time I'll be signing in at this demon's den. The reward should be very good, will it be? Lin Jiufeng looked forward to it. Sign in successful. Received all Heaven Star Sword Array. In an instant, star swords appeared in front of Lin Jiufeng. The star swords were long and straight. Their surfaces reflected the myriad stars in the starry sky. Obviously, they were tremendously powerful. He received more than 3,600 star swords. Their sheer numbers had filled the entire underground palace. Lin Jiufeng looked in surprise. He looked at the 3,000+ star swords and reached out to grab one of them. Then, he twirled the sword in a pattern, testing its performance. The sword was light and it carried the radiance of the stars which surrounded Lin Jiufeng's figure in a mystical mist-like light. Not bad. Lin Jiufeng was overjoyed. He took out the sword case and stored every star sword in it. He wanted to nourish and increase their quality with the help of the sword case. Chapter 108, Demons Leaving the Imperial Capital. Receiving the All-Heaven Star Sword Array and its 3,600 star swords as rewards for the final sign-in in this demon's den sure was a pleasant surprise. Lin Jiufeng expected the reward to be huge, but he didn't expect it to be this extravagant. The number of star swords he received meant that each demon had contributed at least a single star sword. To Lin Jiufeng, another technique in his arsenal meant his strength had increased yet again. The space inside the sword case was huge. He had no problems at all after storing so many star swords inside of it. It was just that the sword case had noticeably become heavier. Putting the sword case back into his body, Lin Jiufeng looked at the time. There was still some time before dawn. He didn't seal the demon's den. Instead, he walked out of the underground palace and came to the cherry tree. The moonlight tonight was bright and beautiful. The night breeze was cool and it carried with it the fragrance of the cherry trees. Meow. The white cat jumped onto Lin Jiufeng's shoulder and called out softly. Her large tail wrapped around Lin Jiufeng's shoulder. Are you going to set them free tonight? Lin Jiufeng nodded. Yes. The white cat thought for a while and added. This world is going to become chaotic. It won't be chaotic. With me here, the world won't change at all. How could it become chaotic then? Lin Jiufeng smiled and casually replied. He was confident that even after he released the demons in the demon's den beneath the cold palace, the world would still be the same as before. Boom! 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 Lin Jiufeng tapped the ground with the tips of his toes and announced, "It's almost midnight. You guys can come out now." These words were transmitted into the demon's den. The demons widened their eyes in excitement. They stopped discussing Lin Jiufeng's breakthrough into the supremacy realm. They looked at the entrance that was no longer sealed. Their bodies trembled in agitation. A demon covered his face and cried in excitement. "It's been 10 years. Counting the time we spent sealing ourselves, it's already been thousands of years since we've come up to the surface. Our lives have been really difficult. We were once powerful demons, but a mere human suppressed us on his own for 10 years. I'm going out, I can finally go out. Say hello to this demon, your lord, brand new world." The demons were excited, some cried, and others expressed their excitement through fierce and emotional howls. They all had different expressions on their faces. But without exception, their emotions eventually turned into excitement. Boundless excitement. Boom! At this moment, a demon directly rushed out of the demon's den and flew into the sky. He carried with him his surging demonic aura that shook the imperial capital. Boom! 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 The demonic aura around him was vast and heavy. It was extremely terrifying, to say the least. It filled the air and covered more than half of the sky above the imperial capital. Beneath the moonlight, everyone in the imperial capital saw a gargantuan bat covered in that same malevolent demonic aura. King Black Bat. He was the first demon to rush out of the demon's den. He flapped his wings excitedly and absorbed a huge amount of spiritual energy in the air. Ha ha ha, this is the spiritual energy of the new era. It's indeed delicious and delightful. As expected of the era that we've waited for thousands of years. King Black Bat trembled in excitement. He frantically absorbed the spiritual energy in the air into his stomach. His aura instantly skyrocketed as he immediately entered the grotto heaven realm. King Black Bat's cackling reverberated between heaven and the earth, forcing the imperial capital to tremble in fear. Countless people raised their heads and looked at him as he was being covered by his boundless demonic aura. They covered their mouths in shock. Since when was there such a terrifying demon in the imperial capital? The look on Deming's face, who was still exploring the imperial capital, immediately changed. He frowned and wondered. Is he a demon from that demon's den? They've actually appeared? Deming was regretful. Why couldn't he find them in advance? This way, he would know where they were and he would also be able to find that war machine of the Zenith Heaven Path sect. It wasn't just Deming. The demonic cultivators who had just entered the imperial capital also had a drastic change in their expressions at this moment. But soon after, they were pleasantly surprised. The demons in that demon's den didn't need their help to be rescued anymore. For they have already broken through the seal and emerged into the world on their own. We should pay a visit to this demonic cultivator senior. Someone suggested. The others agreed. Wait, he's not the only senior that got out of the seal. Someone observed carefully. His expression changed and he stopped his comrades from approaching King Black Bat. Boom! As his words fell, the demonic aura in the air stirred. A second demon rushed out. His aura wasn't any weaker than King Black Bat's. Following that was the third, fourth, fifth. The appearance of one demon after another shocked everyone in the imperial capital. The commotion was so great that it couldn't be concealed at all. The surging demonic energy spread for thousands of miles. It continued to expand, obscuring the moonlight. The world itself seemed to have become a world filled with nothing but demonic energy. The surroundings were plunged into darkness as the demonic energy itself covered every light source in the area. The common people in the imperial capital started to tremble in fear. Even the experts of the Zenith Heaven Path sect observed the situation with serious looks on their faces. Sect leader Luo Yu looked into the distance and said solemnly, "The seal of that demon's den has been lifted." Thousands of demons from the previous era are about to emerge into this world. The situation's changing fast and drastically. Will the guardian deity of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty be able to protect the imperial capital from these demons tonight? The old Taoist priest asked. It's impossible. Who can possibly do such a thing? They are demons that are already in the grotto heaven realm. The imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty will surely be destroyed tonight, and the Xuanhuang God Dynasty will scatter into pieces. The world is about to go through a radical change, and the demonic sects will become tremendously more powerful than every other sect out there, Sect Master Luo Yu replied with an ugly look. For him, the Xuanhuang God Dynasty was already his own dinner to eat. But all of a sudden, a hungry wolf came by and took a piece of his own dinner. However, instead of eating that dinner, it threw it away, turning it into waste. How could sect leader Luo Yu possibly maintain his composure in such a situation? I had no idea that the demon's den in that land of extreme negative energy would open so soon, releasing these demons this early into this era. The imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty will not live to see the dawn. It will be a wasteland by tomorrow morning. Sect leader Luo Yu declared as he let out a long sigh. The people of the Zenith Heaven Path sect also believed in his prediction. The demons that were still increasing in number as time went on was a solid enough evidence to support sect leader Luo Yu's claims. Even as he spoke, the number of demons in the air above the imperial capital had already increased to 500. The surging demonic aura had already spread for 10,000 miles, but it was still expanding. It was about to reach the Wei River. Demon King Pingtian walked out of the water. He stood at the edge of the dragon's tomb and looked at the surging demonic energy in the distance. He really kept his word. He actually released the others. Demon King Pingtian felt that it was right for him to admire Lin Jiufeng's guts. He's truly bold. Does he really think that he can suppress them on his own? Demon King Jiao sneered. It doesn't matter. Demon King Pingtian replied rather solemnly, at least for now. Whenever the other demons cross paths with him, they will act like mice that have stumbled upon a cat. They are bound to be unable to fight back against him at all. Demon King Jiao was rendered speechless hearing his words. In the Forbidden City, both Emperor Di and Princess Yulin were astounded to see so many demons in the skies of the imperial capital. They immediately wanted to ask for Lin Jiufeng's help. But when they recalled that Lin Jiufeng had just refused to meet with them not long ago, they no longer had the confidence to go and find him. In the Forbidden City, they were helpless as they watched the unfolding scene. They couldn't do anything. In front of more than 3,000 demons, no amount of strength mattered. It was better to see what the demons were about to do next than do anything to them. When the current Empress Dowager saw this scene, she immediately left the palace to look for Lin Jiufeng. The trump card that Emperor Ming left for her would certainly be useful at this moment. But in the cold palace, the Empress Dowager only received a single sentence in response to her pleas. Go back, there's no need to worry. Those demons are bound to leave. Emperor Dowager believed Lin Jiufeng's words from the bottom of her heart. She turned around and returned to the palace. She got someone to send a message to Emperor De and Princess Yulin telling them not to worry, that the demons were bound to leave. However, neither Emperor De nor Princess Yulin believed her words. Chapter 109, Truly Embarrassing. The appearance of more than 3,000 demons shocked the world. With the skies above the imperial capital as the epicenter, boundless and bone-chilling demonic energy pervaded everything in a radius of tens of thousands of miles. The common people became anxious and scared. Fortunately, no demons had descended so far. Otherwise, the imperial capital would surely be plunged into complete chaos. One demon after another appeared, bringing with them their sinister demonic auras surrounding their bodies. No one knew where these demons had come from. All they knew was that once these demons appeared above the imperial capital, the group of demons frantically absorbed the spiritual energy in the air. As spiritual energy entered their bodies, their strength started to increase. The feeling of having their bodies rejuvenated by the vibrant spiritual energy caused their former arrogance to return. Some violent demons looked maliciously at some of the people in the imperial capital. A cold voice came from one of the cocoons made out of demonic energy. Let's join forces and slaughter everyone in this imperial capital together. The blood of these people that have lived most of their lives in this brand new era will surely nourish us all. But once his voice fell, the look on the faces of the other demons changed as they warily looked in the direction of the cold palace. Under the cover of the darkness, they could vaguely see the cold and aloof back of someone familiar. He possessed a tall and straight stature. His waist was willowy, comparable to that of a woman's, which gave him grace that could compete against nobility. His broad shoulders, on the other hand, gave off a sense of infinite strength. He was none other than Lin Jiufeng. He was a true monster of this era. He was still there. But despite his presence, a few demons that have already recovered their strength were tempted. However, most of them remained unmoving. In fact, they even pulled away from those that had thoughts of attacking the imperial capital. The cold voice saw the lukewarm response of the others and persuaded. We're all at the Grotto Heaven realm. Some of us who are more powerful are already close to making a breakthrough into the next realm. In addition, with more than 3,000 of us working together. Do you really think that we won't be able to defeat him? The cold voice came from a demon that had the form of a poisonous snake. As his true body depicted, he was narrow-minded and had a generally awful temper. After being suppressed by Lin Jiufeng for so long, he had long harbored intense resentment against the former in his heart. Now, he was encouraging everyone to deal with Lin Jiufeng together. Some demons were tempted. They looked left and right, wanting to see how many people responded to this suggestion. But they discovered that there were very few people who responded. The others turned a deaf ear to this suggestion. They diligently absorbed the spiritual energy and distanced themselves from the snake demon. Why don't you guys agree? We are powerful demons from the previous era. How can we be humiliated like this by someone from this era without taking revenge? The poisonous snake demon questioned everyone. He was annoyed and furious by their response. Why wouldn't they deal with Lin Jiufeng along with him? They were already free, why would they not show off their might as the demons that once terrified the world? No matter how powerful Lin Jiufeng was, he was just one person. There were more than 3,000 of them here. Surely, it was possible to kill Lin Jiufeng, right? You should have taken a look at that cold palace first before you said those words. You are already in his sights. A demon with a rather humongous body coldly stated. The poisonous snake demon was alarmed. He lowered his head and met Lin Jiufeng's indifferent gaze. When Lin Jiufeng heard his words all the way from the cold palace, the former merely sneered. He lifted his head, and the moment their eyes met in midair, a strong killing intent burst from Lin Jiufeng's eyes. Boom! Lin Jiufeng glared at the poisonous snake demon. His killing intent burst forth and instantly charged forward. In a blink of an eye, his killing intent materialized and appeared before the poisonous snake demon. Then, it became as sharp as a blade as it slashed down. Pooh! The poisonous snake demon's head was chopped off. His body fell and crashed onto the streets of the imperial capital. Boom! The ground on that particular street in the imperial capital trembled. Not long after, the poisonous snake demon reverted into his true form. A poisonous python, dozens of meters long, appeared. But its head was severed. No matter how one looked at this scene, the python was obviously dead. The hearts of everyone trembled. The common people who saw the scene were instantly worried that the demons were fighting against each other. Even Emperor Day and Princess Yulin were worried that the capital might be affected. If such a large number of Grotto Heaven realm experts fought against each other, the imperial capital would surely be destroyed in the process. But contrary to the thoughts of the others, the demons were more worried about whether they had revealed their thoughts to Lin Jiufeng earlier. Would he attack them too? Lin Jiufeng stood motionless in the cold palace. He had only taken a glance at the poisonous snake demon, and the latter immediately died. To be honest, the demons were frightened silly by what they had witnessed. It was only at this moment that the demons truly believed that Lin Jiufeng was already a supremacy realm expert. How else could he easily kill an existence at the Grotto Heaven realm? Fortunately, Lin Jiufeng didn't make any other move. Instead, he stated indifferently. Since you lot already have your freedom, don't stay here anymore. Disperse. Or else, I will seal you all in that demon's den once more. With these words, every demon that was still in the middle of absorbing the spiritual energy in the air immediately dispersed. They actually scattered and ran like dogs. None of them wanted to be sealed in that demon's den once more. Being suppressed like that and reared like livestock truly was too much. In their eyes, the current Lin Jiufeng was a great demon king who was even more terrifying than demons like them. The moonlight returned to the imperial capital. It gradually scattered the demonic aura lingering in the air after the demon's departure. Like a cloak, moonlight draped over Lin Jiufeng's body. Lin Jiufeng watched as the surging demonic aura in the sky dissipated. With the disappearance of the arrogant demons, Lin Jiufeng mumbled in satisfaction. They're finally gone. The demon's den is a problem no more. The demon's den in the cold palace was no longer useful to Lin Jiufeng. Keeping them there would instead prevent him from exploring the land of extreme negative energy. As a result, Lin Jiufeng was more than happy to see them disappear. After tonight's events, the world would surely change. Everyone's attention would inevitably shift onto the demons. No one would pay attention to him anymore, the so-called guardian or guardian deity of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. He could explore the land of extreme negative energy with a peace of mind. Then, he could also continue his daily routine in silence. Wasn't that enough of a pleasant surprise? He killed a demon with ulterior motives, and he killed the latter with indescribable methods at that. Surely, that move of his had sufficiently scared the demons. If they wanted to act on some kind of an evil plan in the future, they would have to carefully consider Lin Jiufeng's existence. They are all gone now, the white cat said. So be it. I was going to let them go anyway. The demon's den and the underground place have no use staying underground anymore. I'll handle them next, Lin Jiufeng indifferently replied. He directly threw himself into his next tasks. He didn't care about the outside world at all. Yes, he didn't care, but someone was currently feeling vexed. Sect leader Luo Yu watched the unfolding situation with rapt attention. When he saw the 3,000+ demons coming out all together, his heart went cold. He directly declared the imperial capital's destruction. But what happened next completely went against his imagination. The demons seemed to have fallen out with each other. They killed their comrade, a demon in the form of a poisonous snake, before collectively running away. The way their escape looked awfully similar to a human that had just seen a ghost in broad daylight. In an instant, the demons vanished without a trace. The surging demonic aura in the air above the imperial capital also soon disappeared. The scene stunned sect leader Luo Yu. They left just like that. Aren't they going to destroy the imperial capital? Aren't they all demons? They actually didn't kill any common people at all, nor destroy any building. But instead, they left directly? Sect leader Luo Yu's eyes widened. He confidently stated earlier that the demons would surely destroy the imperial capital. Now that they had left just like that, it truly was embarrassing. Chapter 110, The True Land of Extreme Negative Energy. The demons' escape from the imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty was indeed out of everyone's expectations. Especially when more than 3,000 demons fled together. It was a truly shocking scene. Originally, when the poisonous snake demon was killed, everyone thought that the demons were about to start fighting with each other amidst internal strife. If that happened, then the Xuanhuang God Dynasty would definitely be in danger. Sect leader Luo Yu also expected this to happen. He confidently predicted that the imperial capital would be destroyed before daybreak. But the result was far beyond his or everyone's expectations. The demons fled in panic. It seemed that there was a terrifying existence in the imperial capital that scared them. What kind of existence was in the imperial capital? Sect leader Luo Yu hesitated. It can't be that guardian deity of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty, right? It couldn't be him, right? That was impossible. Although he was powerful, he couldn't possibly handle more than 3,000 demons all by himself. It shouldn't be him. It must not be him. In the end, sect leader Luo Yu couldn't understand why the demons ran away. But it's good that they are gone. Since they didn't destroy the imperial capital, our sect can continue our plans. Sect leader Luo Yu thought about it and was overjoyed with the overall outcome of the events. With the demons' disappearance, the Zenith Heaven Path sect could continue their plans of eventually annexing the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. Moreover, there was also the land of extreme negative energy in the imperial capital. They had to find it at all costs. Inform Di Ming to continue his search. This time, he must be more careful. The demons of that demon's den have already come out and have left. The land of extreme negative energy in the imperial capital should be easy to find without their presence. Let him report immediately once he has found it. Sect leader Luo Yu gave his orders in excitement. The demons in that demon's den had appeared and fled. This meant that the seal on that demon's den built on top of the land of extreme negative energy in the imperial capital was broken. The true land of extremely negative energy beneath the demon's den should be exposed by now. They must find the true land of extreme negative energy that caused the death of their previous sect master. Their war machine must also be in that land, so the Zenith Heaven Path sect must occupy it at all costs. The ambitions of the Zenith Heaven Path sect leader, Luo Yu, were exposed. The reason why he decided to build the sect so close to the imperial capital was to eventually occupy the land of extreme negative energy and claim it as their own. Speaking of the land of extreme negative energy, Lin Jiufeng was currently cleaning up the demon's den and the underground palace. The white cat was also there to lend her hand in help. The original demon lord moved this palace here to suppress the demon's den and prevent the demons from within from coming out prematurely into the new era. The demon lord is a very noble man. Although he is on the demon path, he managed to change my opinion of that path altogether. But now, with the seal lifted and the demons released, there is no reason for this underground palace to exist anymore. I'll transfer everything into the cold palace up above. When you are free, you can go and visit it anytime you like. Lin Jiufeng said to the white cat. The white cat had once lived in this underground palace for hundreds of years. He needed the white cat's consent before he could move it away. The white cat was rational. She knew that the demon lord had already passed away, and this underground palace was now just a liability. She might as well let Lin Jiufeng move it away, so it could serve another purpose. Using his true qi, Lin Jiufeng brought the underground palace out and placed it in the cold palace. Taking out the underground palace was a piece of cake for Lin Jiufeng, considering how the entire cold palace was already so dilapidated. The pillars have long rotted, with a few huts and houses already reduced to rubble. Using the underground palace as the basis, Lin Jiufeng could then somehow restore the cold palace. Rumble. Lin Jiufeng gently placed the underground palace in the cold palace. The entrance to the demon's den was already out in the open. Only its entrance was available for viewing, the rest were covered by the underground palace. But after having uprooted the underground palace, the entire demon's den was revealed. It consisted of a winding cave system deep underground. Lin Jiufeng looked at the demon's den and began to clean it up. There was no need for the demon's den to exist anymore. The demons had already left. They couldn't take the demon's den with them, so they directly abandoned it. Boom! Lin Jiufeng slapped out and struck at the bottom of the demon's den. Boom! 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 The demon's den exploded. Under Lin Jiufeng's attack, it split apart and collapsed. The place that more than 3,000 powerful demons had once called home has now been destroyed by Lin Jiufeng. Rumble! The destruction of the demon's den directly revealed the land of extreme negative energy beneath it. The true land of extreme negative energy. It has been about 50 years since Lin Jiufeng entered the cold palace. He came to know about the land of extreme negative energy from the malevolent ghost of Imperial Consort Jia. Tainted by the tiniest bit of aura from the land of extreme negative energy, Imperial Consort Jia turned into a vengeful spirit. Then came the Chasing Corpse sect. But the Chasing Corpse sect was ignorant of the land of extreme negative energy's true power. They buried the corpse of their ancestor here and then wholeheartedly devoted themselves to exploring the demon lord's underground palace. It wasn't until Lin Jiufeng discovered the underground palace that he realized that there was more to the matter. Beneath the underground palace was a huge demon's den. There were more than 3,000 demons inside, all of which were powerful demons from the previous era. Upon discovering them, Lin Jiufeng thought that this was the end of the matter. But after 10 years, and after having defeated every demon in that demon's den, he found out that the demon's den was actually built on top of the true land of extreme negative energy. It was a mysterious and indescribable place that had once attracted countless experts to compete for the right to occupy it in the previous era. Countless people fought for it with their lives on the line. But Lin Jiufeng reckoned that the land of extreme negative energy that everyone fought for with their lives on the line back then wasn't even the true land of extreme negative energy. It was understandable, however, for the demons had built their demon's den on top of it, burying the true land of extreme negative energy in the process. Now that the demon's den was destroyed by Lin Jiufeng, the true land of extreme negative energy was revealed. A wasteland filled with nothing but red was revealed directly in front of Lin Jiufeng. Indescribable and terrifying demonic energy rushed out of the wasteland, transforming the scene into the aftermath of a battlefield. The aura that the land itself carried interfered with the minds of others, distorting them, and even changing their personalities. Once a person absorbed too much of this unique demonic energy, he would become stronger, but it meant becoming tainted and obsessed with slaughter. The true land of extremely negative energy truly was a place that permitted no life to exist. The evil aura contained from within it rushed out and instantly filled the cold palace. Countless resentful roars, countless vengeful spirits twisted and roared. Demonic energy spread, and it was about to spread outside the cold palace. Once the demonic energy spread into the imperial capital, the common people would instantly turn into demons. They would lose their minds and the dark desire hidden in their hearts would be magnified. The imperial capital would then become a wasteland overnight, just like the true land of extreme negative energy itself. Lin Jiufeng saw this scene. He, who was surrounded by demonic energy, wasn't affected at all. With his strong will, it would be strange if he was affected. Facing this scene, he coldly snorted and stomped with his foot onto the ground. Boom! The entire cold palace trembled. Lin Jiufeng's terrifying might penetrated every inch of the cold palace. Lin Jiufeng's domain as a supremacy emerged. The demonic energy wanted to escape, but it encountered Lin Jiufeng's domain and was forced to retreat. It didn't even resist. Go back to where you came from, Lin Jiufeng coldly said. He used his domain and forced the demonic energy to retreat into the land of extreme negative energy. The demonic energy that threatened to taint the entire imperial capital was suppressed by Lin Jiufeng. It didn't resist at all. More accurately, it could not resist. Lin Jiufeng watched indifferently. Both his feet were pressed against the land of extreme negative energy, preventing the demonic energy from escaping. After suppressing the demonic energy, a line of words appeared in front of Lin Jiufeng's eyes. Do you want to sign in before the true land of extreme negative energy? Lin Jiufeng looked at the sky. In the distant sky, a fiery red light appeared. Soon, the sun would rise. The second day in his exploration had come. Lin Jiufeng nodded and said, "Sign in." Sign in successful. Receive light of the homes. A lamp with a jittery flame appeared in front of Lin Jiufeng. It was suspended in the air as it silently floated there. A look was enough to understand that there was more than meets the eye when it came to this lamp. Chapter 111, The Scared Monsters and Demons. It was an oil lamp. But what burned was not animal oil, but the myriad lights from the homes of the common people. The oil lamp had the ability to gather the auras of every mortal in the mortal realm and turn it into some sort of power. The light of the homes might be powerful, but Lin Jiufeng didn't find it useful for his daily routine. But he eventually found a way to use the oil lamp. After suppressing the demonic energy in the land of extreme negative energy, Lin Jiufeng wasn't in a hurry to go down. Instead, he came to the gates of the cold palace. Seeing the deserted eaves, he stretched out his hand and hung the light of the homes on it. Light of the homes illuminated the gates of the cold palace. At this time, when dawn was about to arrive, it dispelled the coldness in front of the gates. Boom! The light of the homes that was hung up immediately suppressed the negative energies beneath the cold palace. Although most of the demonic energy that pervaded the surroundings was suppressed by Lin Jiufeng earlier, the tiniest bits still managed to arrive outside. However, if someone observed carefully, they would still be able to notice that tiniest bit of demonic energy. But now, under the illumination of the light of the homes, the tiniest bit of demonic energy disappeared without a trace. The cold palace was still the same cold palace. Lin Jiufeng was still the same Lin Jiufeng. Despite the constant turmoil of the outside world, Lin Jiufeng remained relatively at peace and quiet. Just like the light of the homes that swayed silently from where it hung. The light of the homes that was hung up there wouldn't be extinguished by either wind or rain, and there was no need for Lin Jiufeng to top up any animal oil to it. Despite its flame looking so weak, the light from the light of the homes would never disappear. It also didn't need the nourishment of fuel. It represented the light from every single human in the imperial capital. They were its fuel itself. This was also the reason why Lin Jiufeng decided to hang the oil lamp here. Carrying it with him would waste its potential. The oil lamp had to be able to look at the world in all of its glory for it to reveal its might. But now, Lin Jiufeng didn't even need to do anything. He just hung the light of the homes on the eaves. When the morning sun rose, the light of the homes flickered weakly. There was no need for it to compete with the sun during the day. Lin Jiufeng also narrowed his eyes beneath the morning sun and returned to the cold palace. Boom! The main gates of the cold palace closed with a dull sound. But in the very next moment, De Ming came over with a compass in his hand. It kept spinning, but he couldn't find anything at all. That's strange. It was pointing to this area just now, but I can't sense anything at all. Could it be that the land of extreme negative energy is still hidden even today? De Ming looked around curiously. He discovered the cold palace. It occupied a huge area, and he wanted to go inside to take a look. But when he got close, the light of the homes hanging on the eaves suddenly flickered. The flickering lights caused De Ming's spirit to tremble. He stood there in a daze. He seemed to have forgotten that he was here to look for the land of extreme negative energy. After taking a look at his surroundings, he turned around and left in a daze. It has such an effect too? Not bad, not bad. Lin Jiufeng saw what had happened and he was pleasantly surprised. He had no idea that the light of the homes had such a function. It truly was a pleasant surprise. The early morning sun scattered the demonic energy from last night. The world was revitalized. The people in the imperial capital also came out of their homes whilst trembling as they discussed what happened last night. Over 3,000 demons appeared right above the imperial capital. The combined demonic aura they exuded was simply terrifying. Fortunately, the demons left in the end and didn't harm the people in the imperial capital. But even so, the common people were still scared stiff by last night's events. On this day, not only the imperial capital, but the whole world came to know about it. More than 3,000 demons, each of whom was a peerless powerhouse thousands of years ago, had emerged into the world. The Grotto Heaven realm was only their starting point. When their spiritual energy in their current realms was abundant enough, they would then be able to directly make a breakthrough into the next realm. Some demons worked hard to absorb the spiritual energy and strive to reach the supremacy realm as soon as possible. This way, they would have some confidence when facing Lin Jiufeng. But until then, they had no confidence to face him at all. Last night, Lin Jiufeng killed a demon with just a glance. How terrifying was that? It scared them so much that they ran away in a panic. The next morning, they finally came to their senses. What did they run so fast for? As long as they didn't make any mistakes, Lin Jiufeng wouldn't kill those who were innocent. Some demons ran to some villages and their wild nature erupted. Their hands were itchy and they wanted to kill a few humans and suck their blood. But before they could do so, Lin Jiufeng's looming threat became similar to a long sword that hung in their hearts, ready to pierce it and kill them at a moment's notice. Damn it, what bad luck! I'm a demon, yet now, I even have to think twice about killing mortals. This is just too tragic." A demon cursed angrily and turned around to leave. Despite his words, he still didn't dare to try and cause chaos. Killing the innocent was tantamount to challenging Lin Jiufeng. Outsiders might not know how powerful Lin Jiufeng was, but how could these demons who had been suppressed by him for 10 years not have an idea as to how powerful he was? If he really angered Lin Jiufeng, no one would be able to stop Lin Jiufeng from killing him. Hence, this demon spared the mortals in this particular village. Enraged, he entered the forest and killed a few wild beasts. He then devoured their blood to vent his anger. "Lin Jiufeng, just you wait. When I've reached my peak strength once more, the first thing I will do is go to the imperial capital and kill you, you bastard." The demon violently cursed as he drank the blood of the wild beasts he had just slaughtered. The taste of human blood was hugely different from that of animal blood. But because of Lin Jiufeng, he couldn't taste that delectable delight. He felt wronged. But when he thought of Lin Jiufeng's terrifying strength, he decided to endure it in the meantime. "I should go and recover my strength first. Wait for me and wash your neck. I will definitely slaughter everyone in the imperial capital and drench it with blood." The demon gnashed his teeth and solemnly vowed. Not only him, but the other demons did the same. They wanted to kill, plunder treasures, and vent their anger. But when they thought of Lin Jiufeng's boundless might, they all fell silent. None of them managed to successfully overcome their fears and commit such actions that were tantamount to challenging Lin Jiufeng. "Lin Jiufeng, you're too much!" The demons roared in unison. They had all left the imperial capital and escaped from Lin Jiufeng, but Lin Jiufeng's oppression still existed in their hearts. It wasn't just these demons. There were also some that were found by the demonic sects. The latter offered great benefits and made these demons their sect elders. Some of the demons agreed. Being an elder for nothing meant that they could obtain a lot of resources. It was a good deal. But when a sect leader of a demonic sect suggested, "Lord Demon, since all of you are already out in the world, why don't you join forces and go to the imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty? Let the emperor of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty divide a huge territory for us so that we can nurture the forces of our demonic sect and return to our previous glory." The expressions of the demons froze as they looked at the sect leader in shock. "What did you say?" A demon asked in surprise. "Go to the imperial capital to look for the emperor of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty and ask him to give up a piece of land to us," the sect leader repeated. A demon's expression changed drastically and he couldn't help but exclaim, "Are you mad? That demon King Jia was just suppressed by that expert from there. There is an extremely terrifying existence in the imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. Are you sending us to our deaths?" Another demon questioned loudly. The imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty, was that a place that they could freely roam? In the hearts of these demons, that place was definitely the most terrifying place in the world. They wouldn't dare to take a risk without sufficient confidence in their victory. That would simply be tantamount to suicide. "Don't talk to us about dealing with the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. For the next few years or more, don't become enemies with the Xuanhuang God Dynasty," a demon said firmly. They were truly afraid of Lin Jiufeng. The sect leader of this demonic sect was dumbfounded. Was the guardian deity of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty really that terrifying? Chapter 112, The Sword God of the Old Era. Lin Jiufeng had no idea that even though he rarely left the imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty and stayed in the cold palace most of the time, he still had a respectable reputation in the world. And the ones who praised him the most were the group of demons from that demon's den. The people of the world thought that the appearance of those demons back then signaled the end of the world and the start of a great massacre. But what happened in the end was contrary to everyone's expectations. The demons, they didn't dare to cause a commotion at all. Everything remained as serene as ever. With the appearance of the demons, the demonic sects rejoiced and their morale shot through the roof. They felt that this was the time for their demonic sects to prosper. But who knew that the demons that had just emerged were timider than the demonic sects? They didn't dare to confront the Xuanhuang God Dynasty at all. Each one of them chose to absorb the spiritual energy of the world in a low-key manner, they pretended as if they didn't exist in the world and kept their silence throughout. The world definitely changed when they emerged. But the world didn't seem to have changed that much on the surface. Everything remained the same. The Xuanhuang God Dynasty was still the same. The common people lived and worked in peace, and the major sects and aristocratic families consolidated their strength silently. They didn't dare to openly rebel against the imperial capital. After all, there was a terrifying old monster in that imperial capital. If they weren't confident that they could defeat that old monster, they would have to be obedient. The one being referred to by everyone as an old monster, Lin Jiufeng, observed the world in the next few days. After he made a breakthrough into the supremacy realm, he released the demons and moved the underground palace away. He shattered the demon's den beneath the underground palace and saw the true land of extreme negative energy. Then, he suppressed the demonic energy in the land of extreme negative energy and acquired the light of the homes. He was in no hurry to explore the land of extreme negative energy. Lin Jiufeng chose to observe the world for now. He wanted to see if this group of demons had killed wantonly after they emerged into the world. The realm after the Grotto Heaven realm was the Supremacy realm. Any expert in this realm would usually have an honorific name. But Lin Jiufeng didn't give himself a so-called honorific name. He just wanted to continue his daily routine in peace and silence. He didn't need an honorific name. I made a breakthrough into the supremacy realm and turned my Grotto Heaven into a domain. On that rainy night, my metamorphosis was completed. Lin Jiufeng looked up at the sky. The lights in his eyes were fierce. Behind him, a vast world could be vaguely seen. The world itself was a divine-grade Grotto Heaven. It was Lin Jiufeng's Grotto Heaven that he had already turned into a domain. Inside this domain, Lin Jiufeng's combat strength was doubled. Under its limitless expansion similar to a universe, if his domain wasn't broken nor retracted, he would eventually become strong enough for him to be considered invincible. Lin Jiufeng was currently observing the world. He could see everything, from the changes in the auras coming from every cultivator as they made their breakthroughs into their next realms, the fluctuations in the tide of spiritual energy as it floated in the air, and the stench of blood left in the countless battlefields of the world. If the demons dared to act recklessly, Lin Jiufeng would punish them from thousands of miles away. Fortunately, the demons never made a move. Of course, the world truly wasn't peaceful with the emergence of those from the previous era. It was a good thing that the 3,000 or so powerful demons that emerged just recently had become a deterrent to these people. The powerful demons kept their silence and quietly recovered their strength. Compared to the clowns that had just broken free from their seals and were now acting as if they owned the world, those that were truly powerful kept their silence and cultivated in peace. After observing for a few days, Lin Jiufeng soon stopped his observation. He believed that the demons would listen to him. He predicted that only when these demons had recovered their peak strength would they come to the imperial capital to defeat him. Only then would they dare to bring a catastrophe to the world. As a result, Lin Jiufeng's worry was alleviated. He could finally go and explore the true land of extreme negative energy in peace. It has been 50 or so years since Lin Jiufeng arrived in the Cold Palace. It has also been 50 years since he became a neighbor of the land of extreme negative energy. From the beginning until now, he had unveiled layers of mysterious veils over the land of extreme negative energy. From Imperial Consort Jia to the Chasing Corpse sect, from the Chasing Corpse sect to the Demon Lord 1,500 years ago, then from the Demon Lord to the Demon's Den beneath the underground palace. Covered by layers of mysterious veils, the land of extreme negative energy appeared mystical and full of pleasant surprises. Today, Lin Jiufeng arrived at the land of extreme negative energy early in the morning. Deep underground, it was a place that was truly impossible for ordinary people to arrive into. No one knew that there was a land of extreme negative energy here. The cave system of the Demon's Den was winding and confusing, to say the least. The land of extreme negative energy was situated even deeper than the Demon's Den. It was like a hellish world, yet Lin Jiufeng came down alone without the White Cat. The White Cat had been trying to make a breakthrough into the Grotto Heaven realm recently. With the resources that Lin Jiufeng gave to her, even though she wasn't talented enough, she still advanced rather quickly. Entering the land of extreme negative energy, what greeted his eyes was not a battlefield, but a graveyard. There were tombs connected to each other, and they were all made from the soil in the surroundings. A small mound of soil with a tombstone. Some of the tombstones were made of wooden planks. Most of them had already rotted away. Lin Jiufeng saw a few broken weapons inserted into the soil of the land of extreme negative energy. Broken swords, broken sabers, broken halberds, and even broken furnaces. These were once powerful treasures that a few cultivators had nurtured throughout their entire lives. But now, they had become nothing but scrap metal. They were all corroded by the land of extreme negative energy. Lin Jiufeng picked up a broken longsword that was at the edge of a small grave. With a little strength, he pulled it out. Then, the longsword disappeared with the wind. All that was left in Lin Jiufeng's hand was dust. Time has rendered everything useless. Lin Jiufeng lamented. He couldn't help but look at the stone tablet in front of the tomb. There were no other words on it, only the name of the tomb owner was carved on it. Tomb of the Millennium Sword God of the Old Era. Lin Jiufeng muttered out the words. He should be one from the batch of powerhouses that Demon King Ping Tian mentioned. One of those who sacrificed their lives fighting for the right to occupy the land of extreme negative energy, Lin Jiufeng said softly. He prepared to leave and look at the other tombs. But a line of words suddenly appeared before his eyes. Do you want to sign in before the grave of the Millennium Sword God of the Old Era? Lin Jiufeng was stunned. He looked at the tomb of the Millennium Sword God, then at the boundless cemetery in the land of extreme negative energy. He couldn't help but smile. It seemed that he had discovered another land of bountiful opportunities to sign in at. Sign in. Lin Jiufeng agreed. Sign in successful. Received Millennium Sword God's sword technique, flying sword technique. An old man appeared in Lin Jiufeng's mind. He held a wine pot in one hand and a sword in the other. Crossing through the endless years, he showed his sword techniques to Lin Jiufeng. It was a tremendously powerful sword technique. Flying sword meant that it was a sword technique that didn't belong to the mortal realm. The sword technique of the Millennium Sword God surpassed even Lin Jiufeng's current arsenal combined. Lin Jiufeng became engrossed in the sword technique. It wasn't until the sword god was done executing a set of sword techniques and a sword light slashed over from thousands of years ago did Lin Jiufeng open his eyes. Beaded sweat filled his forehead. He felt the pressure from just now. In front of the Millennium Sword God, the current Lin Jiufeng was still not strong enough. But this fact didn't affect Lin Jiufeng. Instead, it ignited his excitement. Is this how strong a powerhouse from the previous era is? This kind of swordsmanship is simply sublime. I can't ask for a more generous reward than this. I feel that I will have a chance of peering into a higher realm once I'm done learning this. Lin Jiufeng was excited. He had already reached the summit of what was possible in this era. Even though the demons in the demon's den were all stronger than Lin Jiufeng in terms of cultivation realm, their strength was far inferior to Lin Jiufeng's. The current recovery rate of the world's spiritual energy could only support a cultivator at the peak of the grotto heaven realm. Lin Jiufeng forcefully pushed past this limit himself because he could sign in every day. But compared to the true powerhouses of the previous era, he was not strong enough. The Millennium Sword God truly inspired Lin Jiufeng and ignited his passion to become even stronger. Chapter 113, Another 5 Years. After signing in, Lin Jiufeng wanted to continue his exploration of the land of extreme negative energy. But a line of words appeared before his eyes. Sign in can be repeated here. Different tombs yield different rewards. Lin Jiufeng immediately dispelled his desire to continue his exploration. He turned around and left. I shall slowly reap the rewards here first. This place is similar to that demon's den. It's enough for me to sign in for a long time, there's no need to explore everything here at once. Lin Jiufeng told himself in his heart. Venturing here and discovering a different reward each day from different tombs was also a very interesting endeavor for Lin Jiufeng. In any case, he had nothing to do at the moment, and he had no intention of going out in the meantime anyway. Thus, he decided to stay his hand for now and be patient. After coming out of the land of extreme negative energy, Lin Jiufeng returned to the courtyard. He saw the white cat lying on the frost jade bed. He reached out and picked her up. Then, he infused his true qi into her body to help her through her bottleneck in her breakthrough. Meow. The white cat meowed and buried her little head in Lin Jiufeng's arms. She seemed to enjoy Lin Jiufeng's massages with his hands infused with his true qi. You're not going to explore that place anymore? The white cat opened her eyes and asked curiously. I don't have to do it so fast. I'm planning on exploring it day by day. After all, I have a lot of time on my hands, Lin Jiufeng replied. The white cat thought about it and agreed. Lin Jiufeng indeed had a lot of time. She enjoyed being alone with Lin Jiufeng. She found it indescribably comfortable to be with him. Furthermore, no one came here to disturb them. I must definitely make a breakthrough into the grotto heaven realm. The white cat made up her mind. Her eyes that were filled with stars shone resplendently as ever as she raised her small claws in firm determination. Lin Jiufeng smiled gently. Sure, I'll help you make a breakthrough into the grotto heaven realm. Meow. The white cat called out warmly. She couldn't bear to leave Lin Jiufeng anymore. Especially after he said those words. In the white cat's entire life, there were only two people whom she regarded as important. The first was the Demon Lord. He was the one who picked her up and raised her up from a newborn cat into a grown one. After the Demon Lord died, the white cat whom he raised protected the underground palace for hundreds of years before she met Lin Jiufeng. After that, she spent decades with Lin Jiufeng. In the beginning, she disliked the latter and refused to let him hug or touch her. But now, whenever she saw Lin Jiufeng, she had this urge to throw herself into his arms. She couldn't bear to leave Lin Jiufeng's side anymore. She had grown to completely accept Lin Jiufeng's existence in her life. This was how the white cat felt. Lin Jiufeng also felt the same way. The person that Lin Jiufeng cared about the most had already passed away. He had nothing to care about but the white cat. Hence, he wanted to help the white cat make a breakthrough into the grotto heaven realm. This way, she could live for a very long time. Then, she would be able to be with Lin Jiufeng for a long time. She would be able to accompany Lin Jiufeng on his journey to the true summit of cultivation. He wanted to bring the white cat with him as he crossed over this great mountain of the cultivation path. The summit of this mountain would definitely be cold. Without the white cat, Lin Jiufeng was bound to be lonely on his journey. Lin Jiufeng decided to help the white cat in its breakthrough into the grotto heaven realm. But the process lasted for 5 whole years. 5 years had passed since the demons left the imperial capital. The world had greatly changed since then as countless people from the previous era also slowly came to being after breaking their seals. In the past 5 years, Lin Jiufeng had never left the cold palace even once. He spent his 70th birthday in the cold palace 2 years ago. It has been more than 50 years since Lin Jiufeng entered the cold palace. As usual, he continued his daily routine of quietly signing in. Over the past 5 years, Lin Jiufeng had already explored and signed in to at least half of the tombs in the land of extreme negative energy. He received various things from signing in at different tombs. 80 to 90% of what he received were cultivation techniques. Most of them were the arts and techniques that the owner of the tomb cultivated throughout his entire life. Each one of them was extremely rare. They could not be found even if one dedicated their entire life to it, but in here, they all became a part of Lin Jiufeng's arsenal. He accepted and learned everything. Not only did he learn sword skills, but he also learned all sorts of peerless techniques. As long as he obtained them from signing in, Lin Jiufeng would study and cultivate them diligently. He always became well-versed in them, and they seamlessly became a part of his strength. After 5 years, Lin Jiufeng had become exponentially stronger. But no one knew about it, for he remained in the cold palace throughout the entire 5 years. As for the white cat, despite making a bold declaration 5 years ago that she would make a breakthrough into the grotto heaven realm, she was still in the human god realm 5 years after her declaration. The white cat was depressed. She could now feel and understand how great the gap was between herself and Lin Jiufeng. A few decades ago, Lin Jiufeng was a mere martial sage realm expert. Although she was still not a match for Lin Jiufeng back then, at least, both of them were martial sages. However, Lin Jiufeng had advanced at breakneck speed since then. His strength constantly improved and skyrocketed, yet she couldn't even enter the Grotto Heaven realm. The white cat was sad. Fortunately, she had never given up after all these years. All the effort that she expended so far was now about to bear fruit. If not for this, then the white cat would have long lost her determination to continue. Your talent is very poor compared to mine, but I'm an exception. Just compare yourself to Princess Yulin. 5 years ago, she also said that she wanted to make a breakthrough into the Grotto Heaven realm. She practiced with the sword diligently and she only managed to do what she said 5 years ago, last year. If you compare yourself to her and make a breakthrough this year, the gap between you two won't be that big. Lin Jiufeng consoled. After drinking Lin Jiufeng's chicken soup, the white cat mustered her confidence and continued her study on how to break her bottleneck and make a breakthrough into the next realm. Lin Jiufeng hugged her and treated her as a hand warmer. He stood in the courtyard and looked at the pure white snow outside. It was winter once more. The cherry blossom tree had become bald long ago. Snow covered its branches, and even the world itself was covered in snow. The wind and snow today were exceptionally heavy. Countless snowstorms swept over, bringing with them cold and fierce winds that seemed to resemble mournful howls. Lin Jiufeng took a deep breath and a large amount of spiritual energy was sucked into his mouth. The world's spiritual energy at this moment is at least 3 to 5 times better in quality and quantity than it was 5 years ago. Lin Jiufeng relaxed his body and absorbed as much as he could. The spiritual energy from 5 years ago could only contain support cultivators at the peak of the Grotto Heaven realm. Lin Jiufeng was very dissatisfied with its slow recovery rate. Thus, he released the demons from the Cold Palace's demon's den to bolster the recovery of the world's spiritual energy. And 5 years later, his theory seemed to be correct. Compared to 5 years ago, the recovery rate is 3 to 5 times as fast. With the passing of time, it's bound to become even faster and turbulent. In another 5 years, the rate would be 10 to 20 times faster than today's. Lin Jiufeng estimated. At that time, it would really be a world where supremacies could be easily found and cultivators at the Grotto Heaven realm would become as common as cabbages in a wet market. The golden age of this era would probably begin in the next 5 to 10 years. Lin Jiufeng was satisfied. Because he was the one that caused all of these. If the world continued its rate of recovery 5 years ago, then the golden age of the brand new era would have been delayed for 50 to 100 years. Lin Jiufeng's actions back then had shortened the time by at least 10 times. A golden age was coming. I won't be affected that much with these changes, but the Xuanhuang God Dynasty and Emperor De are bound to be affected. Lin Jiufeng recalled that Emperor De, who had come to beg for his help back then, had now transformed into a man similar to Emperor Yuan. Lin Jiufeng couldn't help but smile. After 5 years, Emperor De had become another Emperor Yuan. He was cautious and careful as he maintained the stability of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. He also spared no expense in recruiting and nurturing talents. It was also worth mentioning that he managed to recruit quite a number of experts, including a few demons to his side. But the unfortunate thing was, the demons didn't want to enter the imperial capital. As a result, Emperor De had to order them to protect the imperial capital in the 4 cardinal directions. But it was not only Emperor De that had achieved great things in the past 5 years, Princess Yulin had also stepped into the Grotto Heaven realm. In addition, her incredible swordsmanship placed a lot of pressure on the various aristocratic families and sects. Just like that, the Xuanhuang God Dynasty remained as stable as an old mountain. During this period of time, Lin Jiufeng found that he didn't have to do anything nor lend any help. Emperor De was diligent. He formed great trade routes for exchanging resources with the various small countries, he recruited talents everywhere and amassed a great fortune for the dynasty's rainy day fund. Moreover, his own reforms also helped to further bolster the growth of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. He didn't use Lin Jiufeng's reputation nor beg Lin Jiufeng for help. Instead, he relied on his own efforts to maintain the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. The entire world might be in turmoil overall. But the Xuanhuang God Dynasty remained relatively stable. Emperor Day could be considered to be the greatest contributor to this stability. Chapter 114, Dachuan's Departure. How did Lin Jiufeng know about these things? Of course, Dachuan told him. More than 50 years have passed since then. Dachuan had also changed from a young and inexperienced youngster to an old man. His cultivation remained at the peak of the martial sage realm. He had yet to make a breakthrough. But it was a realm high enough for him. Dachuan, who happened to be 70 years old this year, still came to deliver food and wine every month without a break. Dachuan was the one who told Lin Jiufeng these things. Otherwise, how would Lin Jiufeng, who never left the cold palace, know about all of these things regarding Emperor De? It was another year of heavy snow. The appointed time every month arrived once more. Dachuan carried the food and wine as he walked amidst the snowstorm. In the heavy snow, his plump body seemed to become even rounder. Your Royal Highness, Dachuan is here to deliver food to you. Dachuan walked to the door of the cold palace and shouted. With the white cat in his arms, Lin Jiufeng walked to the door and opened it. Dachuan didn't have to stuff the food into the cold palace from a small hole like before. Sometime in the past 5 years, Lin Jiufeng had decided to directly open the door to drink and eat with Dachuan. When Dachuan saw Lin Jiufeng, he called out respectfully. Greetings, Your Royal Highness. It has been more than 50 years, but Dachuan still remained respectful to Lin Jiufeng. The commander of the Imperial Guards who sent Dachuan to deliver food to Lin Jiufeng decades ago had long forgotten about Lin Jiufeng himself, but Dachuan was still doing what he did since that order was given to him back then. Lin Jiufeng let Dachuan in and brought out the food and wine in the courtyard that was covered in the heavy snow. Your Royal Highness is still the same as before. You're still handsome and young-looking. Looking at Your Royal Highness's current appearance, you look exactly like you did more than 50 years ago, but I've changed. I've become different in every year that passed, and now I have become someone so fat with such a big stomach. Dachuan poured a cup of wine for Lin Jiufeng and lamented. The decades that passed turned the relationship between the two into that of good friends from a vassal to a lord. Lin Jiufeng didn't have many friends, Dachuan was the only one. As for the white cat, she was his closest family. Having a big stomach means that you have had no worries in life. Isn't that a life that everyone wants? Lin Jiufeng chuckled as he picked up his wine cup and drank the alcohol inside with Dachuan. Your Royal Highness, I have never been an ambitious person. Since I was young, my dream was to remain energetic when I'm old, and I have already accomplished that small dream of mine, Dachuan replied. His face looked serene and at peace. I'm not as capable as Your Royal Highness. Back then, during that chaotic incident at the top of the Forbidden City, the entire imperial court was helpless. I guarded the gates and was very anxious, but there was nothing I could do. At that time, Your Royal Highness appeared with a martial sage expert and killed the demon sex ancestor with one stroke of your sword. Other than me, no one else in the world knew about it. I have never forgotten that scene despite the decades that passed. Dachuan added. Lin Jiufeng picked up a piece of chicken and passed it to the white cat. Then, he looked at Dachuan. He said nothing. Dachuan was a little more talkative than usual today. In the past, he would never talk about these things. He would only tell Lin Jiufeng what happened in the Xuanhuang God Dynasty and what happened in the world recently. This was the first time that he spoke these heartfelt words to Lin Jiufeng. Thus, Lin Jiufeng chose to listen rather than speak. He raised a cup for Dachuan once more. Dachuan drank the wine and let out a long breath. Then, he explained. Your Royal Highness, there has been a huge change in the Xuanhuang God Dynasty recently. Emperor De is wise and mighty, he has recruited many powerhouses and the Xuanhuang God Dynasty is becoming more and more prosperous by the day. A few days ago, Emperor De gave an order. What order? Lin Jiufeng asked. The order is to send experts from the imperial capital to become local officials of the various regions that the Xuanhuang God Dynasty occupies. They will guard every region and pass on the imperial courts so that some sort of centralized authority will be formed to consolidate the stability of every region occupied by the dynasty. Dachuan added. You were one of the chosen ones? Lin Jiufeng guessed why Dachuan was like this today. Dachuan nodded and replied with a smile. I can't slack even if I want to. Emperor De personally called out my name, and I'm also considered as an old minister from 4 dynasties. I should act as an example to the younguns, so I can't refuse the order. Not bad. No wonder the dishes today are more bountiful than usual. Lin Jiufeng smiled. The food on the table was more than twice what it was last month. There was also an extra pot of wine. Your Royal Highness, I won't be able to return anytime soon. I won't be able to bring you any more food or wine. I will punish myself with this cup of wine, Dachuan said apologetically. There's no need for that. Lin Jiufeng stopped him and raised his own cup of wine to drink with him. Your Royal Highness, I can arrange for someone else to deliver food. Dachuan proposed a solution. No need. But before he could continue, Lin Jiufeng rejected his offer. Actually, I don't need to consume food or water since a long time ago. This is a habit that I've developed over the decades. If you deliver them to me, I will eat them. If someone else delivered them, they wouldn't have the same taste anymore, Lin Jiufeng said. To be honest, I do not need to consume food or water anymore to survive. But I have a habit that I have developed over the decades that passed. The habit is that if you're the one that delivered them to me, I will eat them. If it came from someone else, it wouldn't taste the same. Dachuan nodded and didn't talk about it anymore. Where did the imperial court assign you to? Lin Jiufeng asked curiously. Dachuan was his friend, he should show some concern to his friend. My hometown, Jiangnan. Dachuan revealed a joyous smile. This was also the reason why he didn't refuse the order. He wasn't born in the imperial capital. Before he turned 13, he lived in the Jiangnan area. It was only later that he followed his father into the imperial capital and started his career in the imperial capital for the next few decades. After living in the imperial capital for 50 to 60 years, logically speaking, the imperial capital should have been the place that he should miss the most. But the reality was different. Dachuan had always longed for his hometown, Jiangnan. I've started my own family in the imperial capital, my livelihood also comes from the capital, and even my children are born in the imperial capital. But all these years, I know that my roots do not exist here. As the saying goes, a man does not turn away from the road, a tiger does not turn away from the mountains. After all these years, I have always been a visitor wherever I went aside from my hometown. After experiencing the trials and tribulations in the imperial capital, I've grown tired. I want to return to my hometown. My old mother is just 100 years old this year. My brothers and sisters at home brought her back to my hometown decades ago. I haven't been back much in the past few years, so it's time for me to go back and fulfill my filial duties to her. The only person I can't let go of is your Royal Highness. I've always felt that I still have a responsibility to fulfill. I've promised to deliver food to your Royal Highness for a lifetime, but now, I'm about to go back on my words. Dachuan wryly smiled. Lin Jiufeng shook his head and replied, Actually, you know that it doesn't matter to me whether you deliver food or not. I've always treated you as a friend and I've always looked forward to my monthly conversations with you, so I can listen to you talking about all sorts of things. It's a habit that I've developed over the years. Dachuan nodded. I know that your Royal Highness doesn't need me to deliver food for your survival. I also know that your Royal Highness is very powerful. There are only a handful of people in the entire imperial capital who knows your Royal Highness's true capabilities, and I am one of those that truly understands how strong you are. If your Royal Highness is here, then the Xuanhuang God Dynasty is here to stay. If not for your Royal Highness, the Xuanhuang God Dynasty would have already perished countless times in the decades that passed. The common people of this world must express their gratitude to your Royal Highness. Lin Jiufeng waved his hand in dismissal. Let's drink. Express their gratitude? For what? As the emperor of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty, they naturally had the responsibility to protect the common people in their territories. Lin Jiufeng helped out the previous emperors, that was all there was to it. Even now, Lin Jiufeng didn't have to help that much because Emperor De was doing a great job. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, Dachuan and Lin Jiufeng chatted a lot. This was the first time that they truly had a heartfelt conversation with each other. But in the end, Dachuan still left. After giving Lin Jiufeng a deep bow, he disappeared with his back turned to the cold palace. Amidst the snowstorm, Dachuan's plump back disappeared into the fierce wind and heavy snow. Lin Jiufeng flicked his finger and a streak of sword energy shot out and entered Dachuan's body. Just like the battle on the top of the Forbidden City back then, Lin Jiufeng had once again bestowed upon Dachuan a sword energy for his protection. I hope that this sword energy wouldn't have to be activated. Lin Jiufeng softly mumbled. That sword energy back then didn't activate because Dachuan never arrived in harm's way. Lin Jiufeng hoped that the sword energy this time would dissipate naturally, similar to what happened back then. Chapter 115, Don't Dare. Dachuan left. Just as he had said, a man does not turn away from the road, a tiger does not turn away from the mountains. Dachuan had no wild ambitions in the path of cultivation. In the end, he chose to stay away from the turbulent imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty to fulfill his filial duties in peace. After Dachuan's departure, Lin Jiufeng became lonelier. He closed the doors of the cold palace. Other than signing in before the tomb of an invincible powerhouse of the previous era every day within the true land of extreme negative energy, he spent the rest of his time cultivating in silence. This cycle repeated day after day. Until 1 month later. Lin Jiufeng arrived at the door of the cold palace. As usual, he patiently waited for Dachuan to deliver this month's batch of food and wine. But Dachuan was nowhere to be seen. It was rare for Dachuan to be late. Lin Jiufeng looked at the tightly shut door. It was only then that he came to a sudden realization. Dachuan had truly left. Another one of the few people he knew had left his side once more. At night, Lin Jiufeng didn't cultivate. He walked alone outside the courtyard, looking up at the moonlight under the bare cherry blossom tree. Both his hands were placed on his lower abdomen, and as he looked up, his thin body radiated loneliness. Meow. The white cat stood on the top of the wall. She looked at Lin Jiufeng and called out softly. Little cat, after all these years, the people I have known have all left me one by one. They either died or went far away. Now I know how lonely the path of cultivation can be. Lin Jiufeng raised his head. There was a trace of loneliness on his handsome face. I'm still here, the white cat said gently as she looked into Lin Jiufeng's eyes. I've been working hard in my cultivation all this time. I've never caused trouble, never made a name for myself, never talked about my future. I've only been walking on the path of cultivation quietly in this cold palace, all for the sake of eventually reaching the summit of this path. Unknowingly, I am now on the path to invincibility. The people around me have left me one after another. It turns out that at the summit of being invincible is nothing but loneliness, Lin Jiufeng said rather seriously. It wasn't that he was sad, it was just that he wasn't used to it just yet. He developed the habit of waiting for Dachuan's food delivery over the course of a few decades. But this month, he now didn't have to continue that habit. I will always be by your side, the white cat said firmly. Lin Jiufeng smiled and reached out with his hand. The white cat leaped into Lin Jiufeng's arms. Lin Jiufeng caught her as she laid comfortably in his arms. The path of cultivation is like a huge mountain. There are people at every step of the way, and they are doing their best to climb up while chasing after the people higher than them. Some people got tired and stopped to rest. Some lost their footing and fell to the foot of this mountain, while some people continued to move forward bravely and eventually reached the peak. I am one of those courageous people who have always been climbing. The only difference between me and them is that I still don't know where the summit is. In these 5 years, I've practiced countless peerless cultivation techniques from the previous era and eventually went on to create my own invincible technique. Little cat, let me bring you to the top of this great mountain. Let's see what it's like to be truly invincible. Lin Jiufeng hugged the white cat and spoke his thoughts under the moonlight. Meow. He was already invincible in the current era. But he wondered if he would still be invincible if he was placed in the previous era? The world has changed drastically in the past 5 years. In the past, martial sages were considered to be powerful powerhouses. But now, they have become as common as cabbages in wet markets. Back then, a reputable sect without a peak human god expert presiding over it would definitely be wiped out in a blink of an eye. But in the past 5 years, many experts made their own breakthroughs into the Grotto Heaven realm, a realm above the human god realm. These 5 years were definitely 5 glorious years for the demonic sects. Following Lin Jiufeng's suppression of the demonic sects, the momentum of their rise directly collapsed. Each of the 18 demonic sects wanted nothing more than to completely overthrow the Yuhua God Dynasty. They hated the Yuhua God Dynasty to the core. Taking advantage of the commotion that Demon King Zhao caused after he came into being, the demonic sects wanted to overthrow the Yuhua God Dynasty. But before they could even do anything substantial, Demon King Zhao was suppressed. The demonic sects thus became disheartened. In the end, they decided to remain silent. But a pleasant surprise came. More than 3,000 demons from the previous era came into being at once and threw the world into chaos. The 18 demonic sects once again felt that they were finally strong enough to make another move. With more than 3,000 demonic ancestors present, wouldn't it be a piece of cake for them to destroy the Yuhua God Dynasty? But for some reason, the 3,000 or so demonic ancestors were unwilling to provoke the Yuhua God Dynasty. The 18 demonic sects had no choice but to place their sights on the entire cultivation world instead. The demonic sects rapidly expanded and rose in power, seemingly wanting to suppress the entire cultivation world. Fortunately, some of the powerhouses from the Buddhist and Taoist sects woke up one after another. Like the demonic sects, they revealed their own presences in this brand new era. In the cultivation world, heroes vied for supremacy. One after another, countless powerhouses woke up. The world drastically changed. For a time, in the various large sects that were located in various famous mountains and great rivers, their sects' mountain gates were filled to the brim with people who wanted to enter their sects and learn from them. The popularity of these large sects also accelerated the recovery of the world's spiritual energy. Lin Jiufeng's action of releasing more than 3,000 powerful demons into the world back then was truly the catalyst that caused such rapid advancement that seemingly had no end. In the 18 demon sects, there was a sect called the Everlasting Hatred Demon Sect. They were one of the 18 sects that haven't revealed the true extent of their strength just yet. They were powerful, but they weren't that famous. The Everlasting Hatred Demon Sect recruited a few demons from the batch of demons that Lin Jiufeng had released. Using every means possible, they enticed the demons to affiliate themselves with them to bolster the strength of their sect. After 5 years, these few demons managed to recover a great portion of their strength. Each of them was already at the supremacy realm. Ha ha ha. 5 years. 5 whole years. I've finally returned to the supremacy realm. A giant bat demon hung upside down and laughed. He cackled, obviously unable to hide his excitement. After 5 years of non-stop absorption of the world's spiritual energy day and night, he finally made his return to the supremacy realm. His laughter shook the nearby mountains and rivers. Even the people from the Everlasting Hatred Demon Sect were alarmed. But they were all overjoyed upon hearing his words. Another demon lord made a breakthrough into the supremacy realm. Old Bat, why are you so excited about making a breakthrough into the supremacy realm? A shriveled old man walked over with a walking stick, his face was filled with displeasure. Old blood demon, don't you know how we've spent the past 5 years? The huge bat's body shrank and he transformed into his human form. He became a short man with deep eye sockets and dark skin. He was nothing short of ugly. Of course, I know. For the past 5 years, I didn't even dare to leave the Everlasting Hatred Demon Sect. Even if I wanted to suck some blood, I had to do it secretly. I was afraid that I would accumulate too much blood and resentment in my hands to the point that someone from the imperial capital would notice. Blood Demon gnashed his teeth. 5 years. 5 whole years. I starved for 5 whole years. My body is already so thin from hunger after enduring for so long. Blood Demon pointed at his own body, he was resentful of his fate. He was a blood demon. Of course, he loved blood more than any delicacy in this world, especially blood from young and beautiful women or from the young people who had yet to lose their yang energy. Their blood was simply the greatest delicacy for him. But because of Lin Jiufeng, he didn't dare to go out and hunt for food for 5 whole years. I keep having this feeling that once I go out to look for food, he will find out what I am doing. This feeling is simply so scary. My heart's palpitating so much that I don't even dare to go out. Blood Demon gnashed his teeth. Old Blood Demon, since you hate him that much, and I also hate him to death, do you dare to do something big? The Bat Demon said with a vicious look. I don't dare. But the old Blood Demon rejected the bat. Directly and succinct, without the slightest hesitation. The Bat Demon was rendered speechless as he looked at the old Blood Demon. Chapter 116, walking out of the void, Blood Demon looked at Bat Demon and asked, You want to go and kill him? Of course. Bat Demon nodded fiercely. You can go ahead and die on your own. Don't drag me down with you. I won't go. Blood Demon shook his head and pulled away. You are the Blood Demon Supremacy, and I am the Bat King Supremacy. If we contacted the others and worked together to kill him, wouldn't it be easy to kill him then? The Bat King Supremacy couldn't understand what the Blood Demon Supremacy was thinking. Blood Demon shook his head. I won't agree to it. No matter how convincing your words are, I am not hearing it. When the Bat King heard his words, he became so angry that he gnashed his teeth. You hate him so much, and you don't even dare to go out and suck blood because you're afraid of him. But now that you have the chance to take action against him, you're still going to be afraid? It's true that I hate him. It's also true that I'm afraid of him. Blood Demon directly admitted that he was scared of Lin Jiufeng. He was already a Supremacy Realm expert 5 years ago. I have no idea how powerful he has become after 5 years. I won't take that kind of risk. Blood Demon directly added. Trash. The Bat King rebuked. Just treat me like a piece of trash. Go. Kill him and prove to me that you're not a piece of trash like me. Blood Demon wasn't angry at all. Instead, he provoked the Bat Demon into action. I'll go look for more people. There are more than 3,000 of us, and they are all at the Supremacy Realm. I don't believe that at least 10 people won't be enough to suppress him. The Bat Demon angrily announced. He directly passed by the old Blood Demon and went to look for the others. Blood Demon watched silently, he didn't seem to regret his decision. In the 18 demonic sects, one demon after another recovered their strength up to the Supremacy Realm. The killing intent in their hearts was rekindled after hibernating for so long. Revenge. This word filled their minds. Every demon in that demon's den, regardless of gender or strength, had once suffered under Lin Jiufeng's beatings. And they were all defeated with a single slap, a slap that was strong enough to seriously injure each of them. The humiliation that they suffered was truly unbearable for these demons. In the past, they were not capable enough. Thus, they could only endure it. But now, each of them was in the Supremacy Realm. Thousands of years ago, they were already supremacies. As for Lin Jiufeng, he had only been a supremacy for less than 10 years. No matter how powerful he was, if a few more of the demons acted together, they would definitely be able to kill him. This was a joint effort initiated by the Supremacy Realm expert Bat Demon. He went to look for the more violent and easily agitated demons. He asked them directly, Are you interested in doing something big? When these demons asked him what exactly he wanted to do, the Bat King stretched out his hand and pointed. The imperial capital that was millions of miles away appeared in everyone's minds. Let's do it! This was the unanimous answer of the demons that he found. It was the complete opposite of the Blood Demon's answer. Bat King looked at them and felt much better. Indeed, there were very few heretics like Blood Demon. For 3 days in a row, the Bat King searched for demons. He went deep into the mountains, to the side of the sea, and to the other demonic sects. He managed to gather a total of 15 demon supremacies. Each of them hated Lin Jiufeng to the core, wishing they could skin him alive. The 15 demon supremacies felt that their combined strength was enough. Not to mention one-on-one, if they attacked together, they could destroy the imperial capital of the Yuhua God Dynasty in an instant. 10 years of enmity, I must take revenge today. Bat Demon gnashed his teeth. The 15 supremacies that he had gathered also had ferocious looks in their eyes. Each of them rubbed their fists, their killing intent surged. After killing him, I will wash the imperial capital in blood. I will use the corpses of millions to signal my arrival into this world, the corpse supremacy. I want vengeful spirits, endless vengeful spirits. I just want to kill. I haven't killed anyone on such a large scale for thousands of years now. My hands are itchy. As for me, I just want to bring that kid's head here and turn it into a lamp. One demon after another spoke vicious words. Their faces were hideous and their eyes were blood red. They were true demons who truly displayed what the word demon meant. They were either evil creatures that took on human forms, or they were twisted humans who fell into depravity, only killing for the sake of it. They were resentful after being suppressed by Lin Jiufeng for 10 whole years. In addition, their fury grew even hotter when they still had to be controlled by Lin Jiufeng even after they've escaped the demon's den. They didn't even dare to do whatever they wanted in the past 5 years. Therefore, they acted together and decided that they were done enduring. After some preparation, they headed to the imperial capital of the Yuhua God Dynasty, wanting to kill Lin Jiufeng and destroy the imperial capital in the process. 15 demons at the supremacy realm came out of the mountains together. Their auras were terrifying, to say the least, but they did not even hide their auras at all. Boom! 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 Their demonic auras surged. The group of demons soared into the sky at breakneck speeds as they flew towards the imperial capital of the Yuhua God Dynasty. The imperial capital was millions of miles away, yet this distance didn't pose a problem to these demons at the supremacy realm. Combining their strength, they formed a vast domain that pierced through the void itself as they directly flew over. The world that remained at peace in the past 5 years was trembling once more. Everyone could feel the terrifying aura. 15 supremacies. The supremacy realm was the strongest cultivation realm that the current era could handle. It required the resources of an entire sect or faction just to produce a single supremacy expert. But now, 15 of them appeared at the same time. They stirred up a storm and rushed to the imperial capital of the Yuhua God Dynasty. Just like 5 years ago, when Demon King Jiao made his appearance, their presences were vast and mighty. The world itself trembled with their appearance. Everyone turned their attention to the imperial capital of the Yuhua God Dynasty. How would they respond? Imperial capital. Lin Jiufeng had already sensed the approaching sinister aura even before Emperor Di and the others noticed it. But he didn't immediately make his move. From hundreds of thousands of miles away, Lin Jiufeng could see the surging tide of demonic energy in the sky. He was familiar with their auras. The approaching demons must be from the demon's den 5 years ago. Lin Jiufeng stood in the cold palace. He watched the unfolding situation with an undisturbed look on his face. I thought you guys would continue to wait until you've arrived at the peak of the supremacy realm before coming to find trouble with me. But I didn't expect you guys to be so anxious. Lin Jiufeng calmly stated. His eyelids drooped. He wasn't worried at all. He didn't take them seriously. He even had time to receive his guest. A guest came to visit him. It was Princess Yulin. Princess Yulin, who was now almost 30 years old, had become increasingly beautiful and otherworldly. Her cultivation base was now at the Grotto Heaven realm. Big granduncle, the demons are invading. The millions of people in the imperial capital are in danger. Big granduncle, please save them. After entering, Princess Yulin directly knelt and implored. She came to beg Lin Jiufeng for him to save the common people in the imperial capital. Because the demons' auras were too strong, she knew that she was no match for them. Princess Yulin knew at first glance that she could only hope to match the strength of the approaching demons. She couldn't resist them. The only person in the entire imperial capital who could resist them was Lin Jiufeng. Hence, she came uninvited. Ever since they parted at Wolf Story Mountain, she finally saw Lin Jiufeng in the flesh. 10 years ago, I taught you how to cultivate the way of the sword. You have worked very hard all these years and you've even managed to make a breakthrough into the Grotto Heaven realm. You have done yourself a great favor. You came at just the right time today. I shall teach you another sword move. Figure it out yourself. If you can figure it out, it won't be difficult for you to make a breakthrough into the supremacy realm. Princess Yulin could be said to be his successor in the way of the sword, and she was now a vital existence to the Yuhua God Dynasty. She was one of the Yuhua God Dynasty's pillars of support. Lin Jiufeng naturally wanted to make her stronger. Pass me your sword. Lin Jiufeng extended his hand. Princess Yulin respectfully handed over her sword. Lin Jiufeng lifted the sword and took a step forward. Boom! In an instant, a sword glow manifested. Its light was so bright it was like a blazing sun. Lin Jiufeng walked out of the sword glow with the sword in hand. Then, he slashed out. The sun and the moon themselves were overturned. The mountains and the rivers split apart. The demons that rushed over from millions of miles away felt their hearts tremble. All of a sudden, a figure walked out of the void and stood in front of them. And with a sword in hand, he slashed out. Chapter 117, Flying Sword Technique. A vast demonic aura could be seen soaring through the skies. 15 demons at the Supremacy Realm joined forces and were currently rushing towards the imperial capital of the Yuhua God Dynasty. No one dared to stand in their way. They soon arrived right above the Wei River. After 5 years of suppression, Demon King Zhao had already resigned himself to his fate. With his injuries having long recovered, and without any restrictions to his natural absorption of the world's spiritual energy, Demon King Zhao had long made a breakthrough into the Supremacy Realm. But he still found himself unable to escape. The 36 bone swords firmly suppressed him. Demon King Zhao had once resisted them with the strength of a Supremacy Realm expert. He struggled with all his might and stirred up the surging Wei River. It was in the midst of a heavy and torrential rain. Demon King Zhao mustered all of his strength and almost forced the swords out of his body. But just as he was about to succeed, a force descended out of nowhere. It was as if this force was holding onto the 36 bone swords. This mysterious might forcefully inserted each of the 36 bone swords back in. Demon King Zhao's resistance had yet again become futile. He fell into the river once more and became unable to move since then. That night, Demon King Zhao finally understood how terrifying Lin Jiufeng was. Therefore, when he saw these 15 demons at the Supremacy Realm charging over to the imperial capital with such great fanfare, he felt disdain for them from the bottom of his heart. "They are seeking their deaths," said Demon King Zhao. The Wei River boiled and split to the sides. A massive heaven-raising bull stepped out of the water. He was also now at the Supremacy Realm. His injuries had also long recovered. "We were suppressed by him together for 10 whole years, yet they still don't understand just how terrifying that person really is. At this point, I can only mourn for their fate." Demon King Ping Tian sighed. He recognized the 15 demons. In the demon's den beneath the cold palace, they were comrades that had once discussed how truly powerful Lin Jiufeng was and just what exactly was the reason for his rapid improvement. They stayed in that demon's den for 10 whole years, so just how could these demons have forgotten about what they have talked about for so long after just 5 years? How many moves do you think it will take for him to eliminate those demons? Demon King Zhao asked. Demon King Ping Tian thought for a while and replied, "It should take him about 3 moves. After all, they are already supremacies. I think it's just 1 move." Demon King Zhao said confidently. Demon King Ping Tian replied, "That's too terrifying. If that's the case, I think that even if Big Brother wakes up, it won't be that easy to rescue you from this place." Demon King Zhao immediately became somber. He didn't speak anymore. He silently watched the unfolding scene. The sky above the Wei River was clear and boundless. It should have remained calm and serene at all times. But suddenly, a huge ball of demonic energy shot over. It carried with it a boundless might as it rushed straight for the imperial capital. But right at this moment, Lin Jiufeng slashed with his sword. The world suddenly fell silent. A figure suddenly appeared in front of the 15 demon supremacies. With a sword in hand, he walked out of the void and slashed out with the sword. The figure appeared so suddenly and so quick that there was practically no time to think. The eyes of the 15 demons widened. Immediately afterwards, the ball of demonic aura that they had condensed around them stirred. They urged it to explode so that the fight would end in mutual destruction. It was them against the incoming sword energy. But it was already too late. Pooh! The power that the figure mustered was enough to destroy the world. Starting with the bat demon, the sword energy pierced through his neck and cut off his head. Then, without slowing down, the heads of the other 15 demons were cut off in a blink of an eye. Blood spurted like rain. Tick, tick, tick. Their blood drenched the Wei River in red. The spiritual energy in their blood nourished the creatures in the Wei River. The heads of the 15 demons fell one after another. Water splashed everywhere as they landed. Then, this sword energy also cut open the domain condensed from their combined demonic energies. Afterwards, the headless bodies of the 15 demons all plunged into the Wei River. Only the figure that walked out of the void stood in the air with a sword in hand remained. His body was faintly discernible. Behind him, a sword light that resembled a sun towered from above. The world fell silent. The initially excited demonic sects were rendered speechless. The various sects and the aristocratic families that were watching the commotion were dejected. Wasn't this too terrifying? A few demons finally understood the difference between them and Lin Jiufeng. In the Wei River, the suppressed demon King Zhao exclaimed in shock. This strike is the flying sword technique of the Millennium Sword God of the old era. He recognized it. This move from Lin Jiufeng came from tens of thousands of miles away. Yet, he still managed to kill 15 demon supremacies with a stroke of his sword. Using his divine soul to control the sword, and using the laws of the great Tao of heaven and earth to temper his divine soul. He walked out of the void from so far away, and he actually crossed tens of thousands of miles with a single strike, killing these 15 demons. Other than shock, Demon King Zhao didn't know what to feel. In the previous era, the Millennium Sword God was a very terrifying existence. The flying sword technique was definitely an invincible killing move to many people. Countless people wanted to learn this sword technique. But the Millennium Sword God didn't have a single disciple. After he died, everyone thought that his sword technique was lost. But Demon King Zhao didn't expect to see it today. But, how did he learn the flying sword technique? Demon King Zhao was puzzled. Demon King Ping Tian explained, I told him that the land of extreme negative energy was beneath the demon's den and that buried beneath it were countless powerhouses who had died in the battle for the land back then. He might have gone to explore it and obtained the flying sword technique in the process. That's still too terrifying. It has only been a few years, yet he's already so skilled in the flying sword technique. Unbelievable. He's practically the chosen one of this era. Demon King Zhao sighed. He was both envious and resentful. That's right. People like him are not people that we can deal with. Those demons have overestimated themselves. Isn't what they have done any different from sending themselves to their deaths? Demon King Ping Tian lamented as he looked at the corpses floating in the Wei River. They are even dumber than me. Demon King Zhao couldn't help but add. In the past 5 years, his character had changed considerably. He was no longer as arrogant as he was before. But Demon King Ping Tian took advantage of this opportunity to mock. I think they are just as stupid as you. Demon King Zhao directly chose to ignore him. At the very least, he was still alive and could still continue on his path to the summit of cultivation. In the cold palace, Lin Jiufeng maintained his posture of slashing out with the sword. He then said to Princess Yulin, Did you see it? Princess Yulin looked at Lin Jiufeng in surprise. Her mind was filled with that sword move just now. The sword move he had unleashed could be said to be magnificent and peerless. It was mysterious and strong enough to stun the world. Princess Yulin covered her mouth and suppressed her excitement as she asked, What sword technique was that? Lin Jiufeng retracted the sword and handed it over to Princess Yulin before explaining. It's the flying sword technique. You should spend some time comprehending it. Once you succeed, you will be able to make a breakthrough into the supremacy realm. Big Granduncle, is there only this one move? Princess Yulin wanted to see a few more strokes. The enemies are all dead, who should I kill next? Lin Jiufeng shook his head. He had yet to discover anyone who could make him execute his second strike. Go back and do your best to understand it. Don't let your thoughts run wild. Lin Jiufeng raised his hand and sent Princess Yulin away. Oh right. Have Emperor De look for those demonic sections. They must pay a heavy price for what they have done. If they dare to disagree, then tell them to never show their faces again in the Unrivalled God Dynasty. Those demonic sects have been really rampant in these few years. They actually dared to make a move on the imperial capital of the Unrivalled God Dynasty. The lives of the millions of people in the dynasty cannot be trifled with. We must let them know the meaning of pain, so they will hesitate to make their next move, Lin Jiufeng said coldly. I will go and tell Brother Emperor. If Brother Emperor knows that Big Granduncle helped defend the imperial capital this time, he will definitely be excited. Princess Yulin replied with a brilliant smile on her lips. Go. Lin Jiufeng dismissed her with a wave of his hand. Chapter 118, War Machine. With Lin Jiufeng's killing of the 15 demons at the Supremacy Realm, the restless world became somewhat calm. Those that heard of Lin Jiufeng's feat found him unfathomable. To be able to kill 15 supremacies with one strike, just exactly how powerful was he? A few powerhouses from the previous era who had just broken through their own seals couldn't help but gasp when they witnessed his move. This was simply incredible. Those that expressed their shock were mostly those that had seen Lin Jiufeng make a move for the first time. But the demons that he had suppressed for 10 whole years back then were all too familiar with this scene. In those 10 years, every time Lin Jiufeng came over, a demon would attack him. However, with only just a casual slap on his end, that demon would always end up severely injured. They couldn't retaliate at all. It has been 5 years since they escaped from that demon's den. But until now, they reckoned that the result of them attacking Lin Jiufeng would still be the same. The 3,000 plus demons have scattered all over the land. They became busy with their own matters. But when the 15 demons charged into the imperial capital in great fanfare to kill Lin Jiufeng, they all had different expectations. Some secretly looked forward to the battle. Some frowned, but kept on watching. And some directly shook their heads in dismissal. One of those that shook their heads was Queen Scarlet, the one who had built the demon's den beneath the cold palace. After she gained her freedom, she traveled overseas and witnessed Lin Jiufeng's move seen from thousands of mountains and rivers away. Witnessing what the 15 demons were about to do, she coldly snorted. A bunch of fools seeking their deaths. Sure enough, Lin Jiufeng didn't even personally appear. He killed them with a single sword move from tens of thousands of miles away. Queen Scarlet wore a grave look. 5 years have passed and he has become even stronger. He has been working very hard in the supremacy realm. To defeat him so early into this era, it wouldn't be that easy. Strength in numbers just isn't enough to defeat him. She experienced Lin Jiufeng's might on their final day in that demon's den. Thus, she knew all too well just how strong Lin Jiufeng was. As a result, she treated the actions of the Bat King and the others as the actions of clowns in a circus. Only after I've completed my transformation and when this world becomes even more exciting will the golden age of this era truly begin, Queen Scarlet murmured as she looked at the imperial capital in the distance. She went deep into the sea to complete her transformation. In the everlasting hatred demon sect, Blood Demon also saw this scene. He looked at his shriveled body and said softly, I think that it would be good for me to just absorb the blood of wild beasts in the future. I'm old and my stomach isn't that good, I should change my taste. As a man, I should know when to retreat and to advance. Lin Jiufeng was just too fierce. Blood Demon was secretly glad that his mind was clear enough and he didn't listen to the words of Bat King. Otherwise, he would have been dead by now. But on second thought, the fiercer and stronger Lin Jiufeng was, the more aggrieved he felt. The days of freely sucking the blood of mortals seemed to be gone forever. Lin Jiufeng's silent oppression in the hearts of the demons like Blood Demon didn't disappear. In fact, it became even stronger. How can there be such a monster in this world? Blood Demon let out a long sigh. Right now, he only wanted to stay in the everlasting hatred demon sect. He planned on slowly nourishing himself here without leaving. This world where Lin Jiufeng existed was just too dangerous for him to roam freely. The outside world became turbulent for a while, but to Lin Jiufeng, killing those 15 demon supremacies didn't pose any significant problem to him. 5 years ago, he was already at the supremacy realm. The domain that he had nurtured in his body had already become as vast and as boundless as the seas. After continuously signing in for 5 whole years in the true land of extreme negative energy, he had received countless peerless techniques from the various tombs that he had signed in at. Each of the techniques he received was similar to the flying sword technique of the Millennium Sword God. They were all peerless techniques from the same era. By signing in, he could receive peerless techniques. Just from this alone made it obvious that Lin Jiufeng wasn't someone to be trifled with. He studied every technique seriously. It wasn't that difficult for him to assimilate the techniques that he received from signing in and then turning them into his own. In addition, with the help of the rising tide of the world's spiritual energy, he became akin to a fish swimming against the current. The only exception was that the current didn't pose a problem to him. In fact, he was even more troubled as to where exactly he was headed to. The flying sword technique was only one of Lin Jiufeng's peerless techniques. Right now, after receiving so many peerless techniques, Lin Jiufeng knew that he had to find a way to combine all of these techniques together to create his own invincible technique that was the amalgamation of everything that he had received so far. When separated, they were the various peerless techniques that he received from signing in. Together, they were Lin Jiufeng's invincible technique. This was Lin Jiufeng's current goal. As for the demons that he had killed, they were just akin to a passerby in his peaceful journey to the summit of cultivation. Lin Jiufeng didn't take the incidents seriously at all. After he executed the flying sword technique, he resumed his peaceful and quiet life. He continued with his daily routine. The next day, he went deep into the true land of extreme negative energy. Soon enough, he arrived at its core. Here, there were fewer tombs than Lin Jiufeng had expected. They weren't as densely packed compared to the tombs in the outer regions. But the quality of the rewards had increased exponentially. Today, Lin Jiufeng stood before a small grave and looked at the stone tablet with words carved on it. The words written on the stone tablet were written with bold calligraphy. Furthermore, the message it displayed was very interesting in Lin Jiufeng's eyes. Tomb of the 49th sect leader of the Zenith Heaven Path sect. Tomb maker, the tomb owner himself. These were the 2 sets of words written on the stone tablet. Lin Jiufeng could tell that these words were carved out using true qi that was concentrated on one's fingertip. The handwriting looked ancient, yet mighty. The handwriting was cursive, yet it clearly displayed the complicated emotions of the writer as he wrote this set of words. Writing his own epitaph. He's the previous sect leader of the Zenith Heaven Path sect, Lin Jiufeng mumbled. The Zenith Heaven Path sect had already awakened in this brand new era and they had become a sect beneath the banner of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. But even though they were under the protection of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty, Lin Jiufeng knew that those people were constantly doing their best to infiltrate and replace the higher-ranking members of the Imperial Court with their own members. Emperor De made several transactions with the Zenith Heaven Path sect in exchange for their support. At the same time, Emperor De also roped in other sects to suppress the Zenith Heaven Path sect. He didn't allow them to be the sole dominating in the entire dynasty. To be honest, the Zenith Heaven Path sect seemed to be in decline even though their members had just awakened into this brand new era. Their sect was in the mountains outside the imperial capital. None of their members also dared to go deep into the imperial capital, much more into the Forbidden City. This was understandable, however, for they knew that the Xuanhuang God Dynasty had a terrifying guardian deity protecting it. The Zenith Heaven Path sect only let their disciples investigate this matter in secret. They had so many powerhouses, but none of them dared to enter the imperial capital. In the struggle between the Zenith Heaven Path sect and Emperor De, both sides suffered victories and losses. But the crucial fact was that Emperor De had greatly reduced the Zenith Heaven Path sect's potential for development. It seemed as if the former was trying his best to reduce the chances of the latter becoming the sole dominating sect in the dynasty. Emperor De's actions endlessly frustrated the Zenith Heaven Path sect. Lin Jiufeng had previously heard about these things from Dachuan. Lin Jiufeng didn't expect to encounter the tomb of the Zenith Heaven Path sect's 49th sect leader in the land of extreme negative energy. Do you want to sign in before the tomb of the 49th sect leader of the Zenith Heaven Path sect? These words appeared before Lin Jiufeng's eyes. Sign in. Lin Jiufeng agreed. Sign in successful. Received a war machine. Lin Jiufeng was stunned. A what? Soon, an expressionless corpse appeared before Lin Jiufeng. The corpse was about 3 meters tall. His eyes were closed, yet his breathing was steady despite how he looked. His physique was muscular, his skin was bronze in color, while his eyebrows were thick. The key problem was that there was no life in this person's body. Moreover, Lin Jiufeng could sense that his internal organs were the strongest in the world. Despite how imposing he looked, what mattered was that he didn't have the breath of life. What was more shocking, however, was the fact that even though he was technically not alive, his internal organs that helped his body operate were the strongest Lin Jiufeng had ever seen in this world. The only problem was that he was technically dead. This is a war machine that has been refined under the hands of countless people. When he was still alive, he was once a peerless martial artist. But after his death, his corpse was refined and turned into a war machine. Even in death, his body still possesses a terrifying strength. It only knows how to kill and has no other feelings. Its recovery ability is extremely strong, and as long as a piece of its flesh still exists, it could rapidly recover from its injuries. These lines of words resolved some of Lin Jiufeng's questions. Isn't he the same as Nameless? Just that he's hundreds or thousands of times stronger than Nameless, Lin Jiufeng mumbled. He looked at this so-called war machine, but he decided not to activate it just yet. Chapter 119, Arranging Backup Plans. After having received the war machine, Lin Jiufeng seemed a little disappointed. He's a sect leader after all. He's the previous sect leader of such a sect that existed for several eras. But to think that I would receive such a thing after signing in at his tomb. Lin Jiufeng shook his head. The war machine was indeed very powerful. If it was activated, even Lin Jiufeng would have to spend a considerable amount of time dealing with it. But how was it useful to Lin Jiufeng? He already had such a war machine back then. He had played with something like this decades ago. Back then, it was barely useful to him. But now, it wasn't useful at all. Well, it's better than nothing. When the time comes, I'll just send it to Emperor De. I reckon that it can help suppress any turmoil in the Unrivalled God Dynasty. This way, I won't have to do anything and I can continue to cultivate in peace. Lin Jiufeng could only console himself in this manner. He had to cultivate diligently to reach the peak of cultivation in this world. Only then could he revive Emperor Yuan and Emperor Ming. This was Lin Jiufeng's ultimate goal. Returning to the cold palace with the war machine, the white cat looked at the 3-meter-tall war machine in surprise. The war machine's eyes were closed and lifeless. He walked along with Lin Jiufeng. Whenever Lin Jiufeng stopped, he would stop. He did no other actions nor expressed any other expression on his face. What is that? The white cat asked curiously. This is a war machine. It isn't useful to us, so I am planning on handing it over to Emperor De. This should help him to stabilize the tumultuous state affairs of the Unrivalled God Dynasty. Lin Jiufeng explained. Oh. Upon hearing that it wouldn't be of much help to them, the white cat lost her interest. She curled up on the frost jade bed and continued to cultivate. She was preparing for her eventual breakthrough into the Grotto Heaven realm. Lin Jiufeng, on the other hand, sent a voice transmission to Emperor De. Come to the cold palace. Emperor De jolted awake. He ignored the state affairs and stood up in excitement. The voice he heard came from his big granduncle. He had never seen Lin Jiufeng's true appearance just yet. Princess Yulin brought him into the cold palace once. After that, he didn't have a chance to go in since then. Even when he asked Lin Jiufeng for help that time, he stopped just short of entering the cold palace. But now that Lin Jiufeng had called for him, Emperor De was naturally excited. Putting down everything in his hands, he hurriedly left the Forbidden City and came to the gates of the cold palace on his own. "Greetings, big granduncle." Emperor De greeted respectfully. "Come in," Lin Jiufeng said. Emperor De immediately composed himself. He took a deep breath and entered the dilapidated cold palace. Passing through a few corridors, he saw a quiet courtyard. In front of the courtyard were 2 cherry trees that were now bald due to the changing seasons. 2 figures stood under the cherry trees. It was Lin Jiufeng and a tall giant. Emperor De knew this place. Princess Yulin had brought him here before. It was here that he discovered the true identity of the Zenith Heaven Path sect. "Big granduncle." Emperor De greeted Lin Jiufeng, who looked like an immortal that had been banished into this mortal realm. "This is the first time that we've met," Lin Jiufeng said calmly. "This grandnephew has been unfilial," Emperor De said obsequiously. In the Forbidden City, he was a domineering emperor. But in front of Lin Jiufeng, he was a mere junior. "I'm going into seclusion." Lin Jiufeng looked at Emperor De. Emperor De fell into a daze. The situation in this world was becoming more and more chaotic as time went by. Of course, Emperor De did his best to solve every problem that popped up while creating opportunities for the dynasty's development. But all of this relied on the fact that the Xuanhuang God Dynasty had a terrifying guardian deity. Lin Jiufeng rarely lent his help, but despite that, he had already become world-renowned. Those who wanted to deal with the Xuanhuang God Dynasty had to consider Lin Jiufeng's existence. As for those who truly wanted to destroy the Xuanhuang God Dynasty, such as those demons at the Supremacy Realm yesterday, Lin Jiufeng could still kill them with a single move. Lin Jiufeng himself gave Emperor De infinite confidence. But now that Lin Jiufeng was about to enter seclusion, Emperor De became silent for a moment. Then, he cupped his fists and bowed. "This grandnephew wishes big granduncle success." Lin Jiufeng chuckled and added, "This seclusion might take about 30 years. Emperor De's joy then turned into shock. He thought that Lin Jiufeng's seclusion would only take about a few years, at most 10 years. But he didn't expect it to be 30 years. "It's still the same for me. I wish granduncle success in his seclusion." But Emperor De still wished him all the best. "Will you be able to maintain the stability of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty without me?" Lin Jiufeng directly asked about the crux of the matter. The Xuanhuang God Dynasty's stability might seem to be all because of Emperor De's ability. But all of these were on the surface. In reality, Lin Jiufeng was the one that had suppressed the entire world and forced them to kneel before the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. If Lin Jiufeng were to enter seclusion for so long, the Xuanhuang God Dynasty might be destroyed before he could complete his seclusion. It was because no matter how capable Emperor De was, he was still unable to manipulate the fate of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty in this brand new era. Lin Jiufeng entering seclusion for 30 years was a life-and-death challenge for Emperor De. "Big granduncle has already helped me in the Xuanhuang God Dynasty a lot. In the end, I still am the emperor of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty, not the big granduncle. Thus, it's my responsibility to do my best to maintain the stability of the dynasty. Big granduncle can rest assured and enter seclusion." Emperor De took a deep breath before he replied. It has been 10 years since he ascended to the throne. From a young and inexperienced youth, he had turned into a wise emperor. "You didn't disgrace both Emperor Yuan and Emperor Ming. You are a very responsible emperor." Lin Jiufeng praised. "Do you see this?" Lin Jiufeng pointed at the war machine. Emperor De looked at the 3-meter-tall war machine. The war machine's face was expressionless as ever, and the muscles on his body seemed to be surging with life. His entire existence seemed to be a paradox itself, but looking at him made one feel a strange sense of oppression. "This is the war machine that I've prepared for you. He's very powerful. Activate him, and he will be able to suppress everyone in this brand new era for a long period of time," Lin Jiufeng explained. Emperor De's eyes lit up. "Thank you, big granduncle." Emperor De directly knelt. He was touched by Lin Jiufeng's gesture. Even though this big grand uncle of his was going into seclusion, he still didn't forget to prepare a trump card for him. The war machine is still inactive, take him away. Remember, you have to learn from your father and your grandfather when it comes to treating the common people. As long as you are the emperor for a day, you must always think about the people for a day, do you understand? Lin Jiufeng instructed. I know that the world will soon be in chaos. I don't ask for anything else, I am just hoping to maintain the stability of the dynasty and ensure the safety of its people. Emperor Di expressed his firm determination to Lin Jiufeng. Lin Jiufeng looked at him in satisfaction. From Emperor Yuan to Emperor Ming and then to Emperor De. The three emperors of the Unrivalled God Dynasty have been outstanding so far. It could be said that their existence was a blessing to the people of the Unrivalled God Dynasty. It was because they were outstanding that Lin Jiufeng had the motivation to protect the Unrivalled God Dynasty. If the one that became the emperor was a lazy and poor emperor, Lin Jiufeng would have long ignored the affairs of the world and continued his daily routine in peace. Take the war machine and leave. In the next 30 years, you'll have to depend on yourself. Lin Jiufeng raised his hand and tapped. A stream of true qi entered Emperor De's mind. It contained information as to how to control the war machine. Pang! 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 Emperor De respectfully kowtowed to Lin Jiufeng 3 times before he left the cold palace with the war machine. Once he was outside the cold palace, he closed the gates of the palace himself. With a bang, the gates closed. Emperor De looked at the closed gates of the cold palace. Then, he took a deep breath. In the future, I will have to rely on myself. Emperor De looked at the war machine. This was his new source of confidence. In the cold palace, the white cat appeared. Meow. Are you really going into seclusion for 30 years? The white cat asked. Yes. I want to thoroughly investigate the land of extreme negative energy in the next 30 years. I am also planning on fusing every technique that I have learned so far into one invincible technique that I can call my own, Lin Jiufeng explained. Then, what if the Unrivalled God Dynasty was destroyed in the next 30 years? The white cat asked. Then, I suppose it's the fate of the Unrivalled God Dynasty. I can't possibly protect the Unrivalled God Dynasty forever. Lin Jiufeng let out a sigh and replied. He had already made arrangements and even gave Emperor De a trump card. As for what happened after that, it would depend on how Emperor De managed the dynasty. In the next 30 years or so, Lin Jiufeng didn't plan to lend a helping hand. Chapter 120, Emperor De's Ambition. With the matters settled, Lin Jiufeng could finally go into seclusion in peace. The Unrivalled God Dynasty did not belong to him, he had no reason to protect it for the rest of his life. The reason why he became the Unrivalled God Dynasty's guardian deity was because of Emperor Yuan and Emperor Ming. He only helped Emperor De because he was their descendant. But protecting the Unrivalled God Dynasty forever was never a part of Lin Jiufeng's ambitions. This time, the fate of the Unrivalled God Dynasty was now in the hands of Emperor De. Lin Jiufeng closed the door of the cold palace and brought the white cat down to the land of extreme negative energy. Are you really willing to let the Unrivalled God Dynasty fend for itself? The white cat was skeptical. She couldn't believe it. Ever since she met Lin Jiufeng, every time he made a big move or even left the cold palace was all for the sake of the Unrivalled God Dynasty. Lin Jiufeng replied, "Didn't I leave them a trump card?" The war machine of the Zenith Heaven Path Sect certainly was a terrifying weapon. The white cat's soft and snow-white tail wrapped around Lin Jiufeng's neck as she intimately placed her face on Lin Jiufeng's and asked, "What if the war machine failed?" Lin Jiufeng thought for a while and replied with a question of his own. Is there a need for the existence of a god dynasty that I have to constantly save? Over the years, whether it was Emperor Yuan, Emperor Ming, or Emperor De, Lin Jiufeng helped them solve many of their major problems. Those problems were brought about by the recovery of the world's spiritual energy. It was understandable that the Unrivalled God Dynasty found it hard to handle them well, so it was normal for Lin Jiufeng to help them out. Especially in Emperor Yuan's reign, Lin Jiufeng would definitely have the heart to help his own brother. When it came to Emperor Ming, Lin Jiufeng watched him grow up. It was understandable that Lin Jiufeng helped him too. But Emperor De had never interacted with Lin Jiufeng in his younger years. The only reason why Lin Jiufeng helped Emperor De was due to the fact that he was connected by blood to both Emperor Yuan and Emperor Ming. However, Lin Jiufeng knew that he couldn't always help Emperor De and clean up his mess. And what if Emperor De died by accident and the succeeding emperor came to beg Lin Jiufeng for his help? Would Lin Jiufeng still lend a hand? Not anymore. The relationship between me and the Unrivalled God Dynasty has always been in decline with the passing of Emperor Yuan and Emperor Ming. Helping Emperor De is the last. Whether the Unrivalled God Dynasty lives or dies in the future will all depend on Emperor De's methods. Lin Jiufeng said. After all, the lifestyle that he had always wanted was to sign in peacefully and pursue the peak of the cultivation path. Don't worry, Emperor De is a decent emperor. He consistently studied state affairs for the past few years, and his methods have gradually become more and more innovative. With the war machine serving as his trump card, he can handle every troublesome matter out there. I won't also have to worry anymore. Lin Jiufeng said. His words carried confidence in Emperor De. He brought the white cat to the land of extreme negative energy, a huge underground world. It was a very dark world with ghostly fires flickering everywhere. These fires were the souls of the former powerhouses who died in battle for the right to occupy this place. The fires have been constantly burning for thousands of years. These ghost flames also seemed to drift with the air currents. They looked and felt bizarre. The white cat leaned on Lin Jiufeng as she looked at her surroundings with a calm gaze. With Lin Jiufeng around, she wasn't afraid. Lin Jiufeng brought the white cat with him as he continued to venture deeper. In the past 5 years, he had spent most of his time in the land of extreme negative energy. He signed in before more than 1,000 graves, all of which belonged to people who died in action back then. From the number of casualties, one could see how intense the war that Demon King Ping Tian had mentioned to him was. Lin Jiufeng planned to sign in at the remaining tombs in the land of extreme negative energy. Then, he would also use the time in between to expand his domain. He wanted to accumulate enough strength to climb into a higher realm. Arriving at the next tomb in line, Lin Jiufeng stopped and chanted in his heart. Sign in. Sign in successful. Received Light Mandara technique. Lin Jiufeng was instantly overjoyed. I followed Princess Yulin to the plains and I received the Dark Mandara technique as a reward for signing in at Wolf Story Mountain. But the Dark Mandara technique was only half of the entire technique, so I was never able to experience the true power of the Mandara cultivation technique. So I put aside the Black Mandara technique and mentally noted that I would only cultivate using it after I've obtained the other half. I didn't expect to receive the Light Mandara technique here. What a pleasant surprise. Lin Jiufeng happily browsed through the Light Mandara technique. After signing in, the various information about the cultivation technique entered Lin Jiufeng's mind. Lin Jiufeng instantly learned it. He then compared it with the Dark Mandara technique. Where there was darkness, there must be light. Where there was light, there must be darkness. The fusion of darkness and light was the true Mandara cultivation technique. It was a supreme technique that belonged to the Essence Chi sect. Yin Yang Mandara Great Domain. Darkness and light transformed into Yin and Yang. Combined, they formed the Mandara flower. A catalyst for a domain. It was perfect for Lin Jiufeng. His divine great grotto heaven was already a domain. Lin Jiufeng had created and explored his own domain without any guidance whatsoever. As a result, his strength improved greatly in the past 5 years. But without any guidance on domains, his research had long stagnated. With this cultivation technique, Lin Jiufeng gained confidence in cultivating his domain. As expected, this place is truly my blessed land. If I had gotten rid of those secular matters earlier, my domain could have already been at the perfection stage by now. Lin Jiufeng muttered. He was overjoyed with his reward today. There were stages in the supremacy realm, but they were according to levels like the grotto heaven realm. They were divided according to the completion percentage of their very own domain. Beginner, lesser mastery, greater mastery, and perfection. This was how strength was divided in the supremacy realm. But this classification wasn't suitable for everything. It was only suitable for domains. Everyone had their very own domains, some were big, some were small, some were ordinary, and some were heaven-defying. The difference in power between different domains was huge. One could say that everyone's domain had to go through these 4 stages. But it didn't mean that one would definitely be able to defeat or even crush a greater mastery stage domain with a perfection stage domain. This was an incorrect assumption. What if the grade of the perfection stage domain was ordinary? Even if it was in perfection, the maximum coverage it could have was only about 100 inches of space. How strong could it possibly be? Compared to someone else whose domain came from his own comprehension of heaven and earth, the cycle of life and death. How strong could that ordinary domain be? Even if the latter was at the beginner stage while the former was at the perfection stage, the battle would most likely end in a draw. Ordinary domains at the perfection stage could not possibly hold a candle against those that had high-grade domains at the lesser mastery stage. Lin Jiufeng began to comprehend the Yin-Yang Mandara Great Domain, and he soon came to understand these principles. Back then, he had to rely on his own intuition. There wasn't such profound knowledge recorded in the royal library of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty, so he took many detours to reach his current stage. Fortunately, Lin Jiufeng could still rectify his situation. For this, he had to cultivate in the Yin-Yang Mandara Great Domain technique. In the land of extreme negative energy, Lin Jiufeng quickly blended with the environment. He had no intention of wasting time. The imperial capital of the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. As Lin Jiufeng entered the land of extreme negative energy, Emperor De returned to the Forbidden City and sat alone in the Great Council Hall for the night. He stayed up all night. He constantly thought about the Xuanhuang God Dynasty's future. Without Lin Jiufeng's protection, even with the war machine, he still felt uncomfortable. I have to make my arrangements. There's no such thing as permanent enemies, only permanent interests. I should take advantage of the might that Big Grand Uncle displayed when he killed those supremacies. With him as my backer, I should be able to rope in many people to my side. I can rope in everyone to me: Taoist sects, Buddhist sects, the people from the wild lands, the tribes in the plains, and even the members of the demonic sects and overseas factions. They are all people that I can convince to side with me. Together, we can stabilize the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. Then, once I am done with that, I should make sure that the sects and the factions of the world are busy fighting against each other. If that happens, then they would not have the energy to deal with the Xuanhuang God Dynasty. Recruiting powerhouses in private, cultivating talented youths, and building an invincible army. This must be done at all costs. Even without Big Grand Uncle, the Xuanhuang God Dynasty won't fall. I must use everything at my disposal to seek huge benefits for the Xuanhuang God Dynasty in this chaotic world. Emperor De thought about it all night and came up with a lot of ideas. He was no longer the cultivation-obsessed young man that he was in the past. He had become a wily old fox. Under the earnest guidance of the court officials, he became skillful at manipulating the affairs of the world to control its overall situation. Big Granduncle, I will prove to you that I will not be worse than Father or Grandpa Emperor. Emperor De's fighting spirit soared. The Xuanhuang God Dynasty will improve greatly in my hands.